Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I'm your host, Adam Dunn.
I'm Dave Charnick.
And sorry, guys, I'm so late. Oh, geez. It's a birthday weekend for my kids. I had so many things to prepare before I left the house. It was like, but then if I don't do that, I'll get back. It won't have that. Oh.
Can I ask you a question
So
for a minute?
In the mode. And then.
There's nobody who thinks we should ever start on time,
No,
so
I
don't
know,
worry
but
about
when
it.
it's an hour and a half an hour, I feel bad. But the worst part was my phone is not even on now, so I couldn't call in to say, hey, I'll be a little bit late. So I was having the classic, and I saw some people broken down on the side of the road, and I did one of those things where you look and you go, that sucks. And then I look down and my heat on my car is going like this. I was like, oh, shit. And I had to do one of those, cross 5 lanes, go to the gas station, buy something. Because I think I have a leak in my fucking water pump. Cocksucker.
Son of a bitch.
It's always on the
Son of
hottest
bitch
days.
shit.
And I got no AC in the car. So top that, I was like it was like a country song the entire time up here. I was like, I got no heat, I got no AC, I got my car's overheating, and I'm too late to my podcast.
You're pretty good at that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
He sang it before. This is not the first time he sang it.
Newly acquired talent?
What, country singing? Yeah, I can tell I'm really fucking acquired. You got James Bean, though, of course, man on the scene, making it happen.
Dude, he's been here a while.
I know.
Yeah, he's been here since 420.
How we doing?
Hey.
He actually left, took a shower,
I
came
know.
back.
Changed his shirt because you were making fun of him. And
I did not. It was the
Yes,
hair.
he did. Yes,
yeah,
he did.
He did. I know he did.
He made fun of me.
Of course he did. Dave can't help it. Well, welcome, everybody. We have a very easy show to announce today because it's one guest, one kill. One guest, one kill.
I love how you said, gotta
Imagine
watch the
James
show.
Bond if he was raised in the jungles of Ohio.
What
You
did I
gotta
say?
watch the show in order to get the secret code word.
Oh, that was
James.
all James. Dude.
I know.
James Bean comes
People,
up.
because we did the rerun of last week with the better audio.
Yeah.
And people thought it was during that show. The people were asking for it during that show. So people are
Oh.
stoked up for it.
There you go. People
Yeah.
are
It should be.
already.
It's a limited drop. He doesn't do it very often, so it's a good deal. It's good stuff. And it's what I've learned from Dunn is when you bring in land races or that kind of things, you reset half of that genetic pool that you're crossing with, things that aren't susceptible to so many bugs or aren't susceptible to so many diseases because they're inbred and fucked off.
And they've never seen them. So
It's weird.
no, it's awesome. And it was funny how when you were talking about getting him on the show, and I said to you, I go, yeah, I'd kind of want to concentrate on him if we get him on the show. And then what did he say right away? It's exactly the same thing. I want to be able to get on there for a little longer because we always end up having these he came on the 24-hour show. That was a terrible one to ever come on if you want to be serious. So
Wait, hold on a second.
I'm
What
just
are you
saying
saying? You saying the 24-hour show is stupid?
No.
Maybe we shouldn't do it no more because it's completely
maybe
pointless.
No,
it's
'cause
a
they're
fucking
so-
moronic thing to do.
No, it's
Yeah.
the greatest
Relax,
thing ever.
bro.
We're gonna do it. All right.
No one ever watches
All right,
it?
next week, 24-hour show. I'm announcing it now. You guys want to fuck with me?
4th of July weekend.
Yeah, it's going to go from the 4th to the 10th. All right, we're going 6 days.
Oh, cool. I'll
Straight.
be out of town,
Yeah.
so that's cool.
All
You can't-
right.
I'm
We'll
busy
just
then.
leave the
Just
chat
like I
going.
asked Mark if he wanted to hang out, and all he said was, I'm busy.
Wow.
So I'm busy for that one.
All right,
You
all
know,
right. I
just
see what you
saying.
guys are doing.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
What do you mean? What, Adam? You speak the gospel. We just want to reinforce what you say.
I'm
and
just
what you
saying-
say is the 24-hour show is dumb.
No,
we agree
I
with
said
you.
it's hard for a super serious guest with tons of great knowledge to be able to drop it all during the thing because we have people coming and going.
I don't know if that was the gist of it. No,
It's
no.
mostly
no.
your fault, Dave.
No.
I blame it all on you.
Oh, you blame it all on me? I was the one that got
Yeah.
all the guests.
I second that motion.
Exactly. And you
Oh,
overlapped
James
them,
Bean.
and you didn't give them a good time frame, and you made it complicated so that we had a big shit show. It's all your fault.
Are you saying I poison pilled it so that we'd never do it again?
Pretty much.
Is that what you're saying?
I would imagine that would
Me?
be totally,
It's a common occurrence, Dave. It's a
Really?
common occurrence.
totally accept that as a reality. Look at that. You got game show vibes and everything going on.
Hey,
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm glad you're in charge. I'm glad you're in charge of all giveaways because we've already decided a long time ago. What? Dun 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 dun.
No, that little
Oh.
thing he's got. Go do that one again. That one.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
and in the center square, James Bean.
Yeah, it's done, done.
That's good stuff right
Dun,
there.
dun.
Done. Yeah, there you go. I'm just making sure we all understand how the theme song goes.
I would have had some cool backgrounds, but my graphic designer was backed up and couldn't.
Let me know. I got you.
He has car trouble.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
some
just,
car trouble.
just all I can do is ask.
You have a graphic designer?
Yeah, I got a
Beanie.
who doesn't? Isn't that how you guys do all this stuff?
Dude,
Yeah, that's how I do it all. I
okay.
mail it all out. Send it out.
Oh, yeah, we send it out Fiverr, dude. Send to some guy in Indonesia makes all those fun.
Yeah, totally.
Indonesia?
Oh, look at this, DJ.
Yeah,
Fucking yeah. Watch out, you're covering him up. Don't cover
That
him
old
up.
thing? Yeah, Dave's getting down on the decks again. That's what he does.
I fucking love that one.
Can't stop him, dude.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't
right?
stop, won't stop. Exactly. DJ can't stop.
Speaking of the freak off, next week it's going to happen. I know we mentioned it last week. It's going to happen this week. Next week it'll happen.
Picture of me, and then you say, "Speaking of freak off, what the fuck?"
Well, that was where you were. That was where you were spinning. That was you at the freak off.
Yeah, dude.
Obviously.
Hey, so I'm James Bean, Seats Here Now. This is the Adam Dunn Show, the Seats Here Now breeder takeover. All right. Today we are crossing half the planet to spotlight a man who quite literally hikes war
Is he reading?
zones and 3500-meter Himalayan
Doesn't
passes
even look like he's
to rescue cannabis genetics.
Staring at it.
He co-founded Indian Landrace Exchange in 2015. He's documented everything from the Swabi mango pepper indicas to Andrabi Hindu Kush plants, and operates what he calls a holistic farmer-first seed model. Right, broadcasting from his seasonal base in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Please welcome Irrazin, field botanist, ethnographer, and land race preservationist behind Indian Landrace Exchange. I see him here, so he must be here.
Can you guys hear?
There he is. Hey, how
There
you
he
doing?
is. Welcome.
Hi, how are
Welcome
you guys
back.
doing?
We're doing good. Doing, late as usual, but we're good. We're good.
Hey, it wouldn't be an Adam Dunn show if it wasn't late, right?
Speaking of which, what time is it over there right now?
Late.
I know, it's actually pretty early. It's 6 in the morning. It's almost 6 in the morning.
Perfect.
You had to
That's
get
my
up- you had
late.
to get
You're
up, of
early.
course, at 4:20 because you thought we were going to broadcast at 4:20. So now you've been up for like an hour, but you're awake now, though, right?
How many coffees are you?
Yeah. I actually misunderstood the timing, and I was ready last night, 9 p.m.
Oh.
I think I messaged Adam, and I messaged you, hey, are you guys ready? And then I realized, this isn't the time. I mean, it's supposed to be like 6 in the morning, actually 5:30, but yeah. So.
Changed all your plans, right? You're like, man, that totally sucks, right there.
No, I just had to take a short sleep, and that was good.
Well, it's good. You're up early now. Up early, fresh. And
So speaking of fresh news, in the days that I've been talking to you, just these last couple of days, things have drastically changed where you're at. And so, give us the fresh news of boots on the ground. You can be the James Bean man in the scene for us in Thailand. I've heard they've changed their rules. They went back to the old stuff. So, what's going on in Thailand?
Yeah, so they're actually having they're having some major changes around here. They just like full all in. When they legalize or decriminalize the cannabis in Thailand, and 2.5 years fast forward, they're thinking of regulating it in a proper way. I mean, I wouldn't really call it sort of like taking a U-turn on legalization. It's more of they're just trying to bring in more regulation. They just want to make it better in a way. I mean that
Regulation always makes it better, right?
the outset. But then again, I mean, not a lot of details are out yet, so I don't think it'll be right to comment on any of this. I mean, this is still developing. I mean, they still haven't really poured out all the information for people.
they've been threatening it for a while, though, too, right? It seems like they go, like it's going backwards. It's going this way. It's going.
Tion sent me a note this morning with a teardrop on it saying
Things are changing for real.
saying that in Thailand they have now criminalized recreational use again.
Because they're missing out on some money, probably. They need some monies. But no,
They
that's,
just need their 10%.
I mean, the crazy thing is that, like, Thailand is very similar to Amsterdam in the sense that everybody tells you, oh, it's totally changing, it's totally changing. And then when you talk to people, they usually go, nah, not really. You know what I mean? So I would give it a little time to see where it goes because...
And sort of the suck thing, I mean, I know we both know, and Irrazin is like the perfect example. People have moved there and brought their businesses there and their families and their lives there because of this, changing in laws. And now it's like kind of throws a monkey wrench in the whole thing.
No, see, you have to look at this side as well. I mean, not just like other people who have moved into Thailand, but within Thailand, I mean, local Thailand people, a lot of people have invested a lot of money into shops and buying a lot of equipments and into training people. I mean, so many other things, right? And most of that money has come from like public banks and forms of loans. So it's not really that simple. You can't just like turn around and like shut everything down. I mean, it'll have like a larger ripple effect on a lot of other things that may not be visible on the surface. So what's really happening is, if you're a user, all you have to do is you have to go into a dispensary and get a card made, like a medical card, and you can just get it made. I think within half an hour. It's not even that difficult, and it's valid for around a year. So all you need is that card, then you can take that medical card into any dispensary, and they can just give you the weed.
And before this, I'm not familiar with Thailand. Before this, you could just walk in and buy without the card?
Yes, as long as you're 20 and above, you could just go into a dispensary and you can buy, whether you're a tourist or you're a local Thai person. I mean, either ways. And the changes mostly with shop will be that the grows would have to be of a certain standard GACP, which would be like a Thai GACP, which is going to be quite similar to what they have in Europe, like Europe GMP, GACP sort of certification. So they're gonna have tests for microbial content and heavy metals, which isn't that bad. I mean, if you look at it from the public health point of view, I think that's actually a good step. So all they're really trying to tell the business owners is that we want you to do it in a better, more refined way, so that because it's a medicine, it's being given out as a medicine. So if it's not grown cleanly, it kind of defeats the purpose of calling it a medicine. So in that sense, they want it to be up to a certain standard, and then for the consumer as well, they want them to have like a certain card so that it does not appear as a recreational, rather like a medical setup. So I think that's like the major change, and then there are going to be a lot of smaller changes, which they will keep communicating over the time, I believe. So it's what it is basically.
So speaking of those dispensaries, let's get into it. What makes a landrace seed different from like the modern strains that most people will see on the dispensary shelves?
I mean, there'll be a lot of differences. Obviously, I mean, you could really speak about this in a few different ways. I mean, one would be on a genetic level as a breeder, that how a landrace strain would be different to you compared to a variety that's been hybridized or is a polyhybrid variety, which is like most of the varieties out in the market which are used in the dispensaries and even by the breeders. So genetically, when you're looking at a landrace variety, first of all, a landrace variety is a locally adapted variety, a variety that's been adapted, domesticated to a certain locale over time, and it develops certain features which are best fit to survive in that terroir. And those populations seems to have this uniformity. The landrace populations in a certain area, they would have a certain amount of uniformity, as in they would all flower around like a similar range, because that's how that locale would have really adapted those plant varieties. For example, I mean, if it starts snowing first of the October every year in a place, so you would have most of the plants finishing before first of the October. But if you just go maybe near equator, where you have days which last 12 throughout the year, so you don't really have that kind of pressure on the plants. Do not really have that sort of pressure on them to finish super fast. In that case, the cannabis plant would just grow and would really do what it wants to do, which is like stretch out a lot and just like put on as many bud sites that it can, so that it can make as many seeds that it possibly can for the regeneration of the next population. So I mean, in this sense, you see a certain amount of uniformity amongst those like landrace varieties, but yet there is an inherent diversity. I mean, this sounds counterintuitive, but this is really the best part about these landrace populations. You have diversity within these populations, Yet you see certain features that actually flow like a theme through these, landrace populations, like I just spoke about, the flowering term. But that may not be true for a hybridized variety, because a hybridized variety. I mean, you could grow a certain amount of seeds. Let's say you could grow like 1,000 seeds, and well, there's gonna be a diversity in there too. I mean, to a certain extent, but it's not going to be that much, because the problem with most of the modern strains are that they have been bottlenecked in a sense to give out only a very specific kind of expression that yields very high amounts of volatile organic compounds like terpenes and cannabinoids, that it should like flower really fast, and it should grow in a certain way and finish in a certain way and look a certain way. So when you do that, I mean, that's great. That's great for like a consumer who just want to like grow a seed, and he wants to get a plant that looks exactly like it appears on the packet. But from a breeder's perspective, I mean, you don't really have much there to work with. I mean, it's an easy way out. You can take like a cookies plant, and you can like cross it to like another cookies like cross, and there's not really a lot that could go wrong there. But there's not a scope for doing a lot either. So it really depends. I mean, what your goal is. I mean, if your goal is just to like pump out just another variety out there in the sphere in the community, then it's fine. Then probably like already using a polyhybrid variety and crossing it to another polyhybrid variety would just like speed run you to that result. But if you really want to make something new, you truly want to make a new variety of cannabis, then you have to go back to the drawing board. You have to grab the very basic ingredients once again, and then you have to start. I mean, then obviously you can like align your goal. I want to breed something that looks like this, that tastes like this, that has the pest resistance like this, and then you're gonna find those ingredients, and you can actually start breeding. So long you understand, how to bring all those traits together into one population, and then just create a population over time that consistently delivers those features. So that's like from the breeding point of view. I mean, if you're a breeder, so it could really define your style, and it could really define your results, whether you're using a landrace variety or you use a hybrid. And a lot of people, I say that what they're doing nowadays is they're grabbing some land races, they're using some polyhybrids, some other varieties, some heirloom varieties, sorry, and they're crossing them, which is also like a great way to do it. And if we go more towards consuming the weed itself from the consumer point of view, weed in the jar in a dispensary. So from the consumer point of view, there are a few things. Obviously, a hybrid variety would have like the higher amounts of cannabinoids and terpenes overall, but that does not necessarily means that it would also have a wide variety or a broad and a broad array of terpenes. So, for example, I mean, you could grab a polyhybrid variety, that's really that has a high THC, let's say like 25%, and it tests around
See,
like
I don't know where you're high at,
5%.
but like in the United States, we're like at 40% over here. That's high. That's what they say.
Come on now.
James, 40%? It's so last week.
I know, you're right. But grab a high percentage THC strain, and then
Yeah, I mean, like, so these you have polyhybrid varieties which have like higher amounts of THC and higher amount of whatever cannabinoid they're bred for. But what you might lack there is you might just only have THC in there. Or if you talk about like terpenes, it might test around like 4 or 5% terpenes, but it might not have a wide variety of terpenes in there. It might just be just one thing.
Yeah.
And that's good too. If that's good, if you want to do extraction, you want to extract that particular terpene or the particular cannabinoid. I think those strains are like a lot more suited for people who are straight up making like THC salts and CBD salts. For them, it actually makes sense. But in a recreational market where the consumer is not looking to smoke something that's like 100% THC, like salt, THC salt, he's just looking to smoke weed. He's willing to smoke what do you call that, plant matter along with the resin on it. That means he want to have an experience which is a lot closer to what it would be if you were out there in the nature and if you ran across a cannabis plant. So when you want to have an experience like that, that in order to consume the cannabinoids, you're willing to consume the herb, the foliage, then I think that consumer deserves a really a natural medicine, and it won't be a natural medicine if you have manipulated it so many times for it to give out only a very specific expression that yields yes high THC, yes higher amount of terpenes, but it's very monotonous and it's very one-dimensional in a way. I mean that's one of the reasons like why you tend to see people kind of get bored by so early of smoking one strain. I mean, I can keep smoking banana cream all my life, and I don't think I will ever have a thought that this is boring or I don't want to smoke this. I perhaps want to smoke something else.
Well,
Not even a chance.
I was just thinking while you were talking about like, because now we're getting into like hash as a complete industry in America, right? Like people are growing specifically to make extracts, and they are like literally just tossing away tons of genetics that were staples because they're just real greasy and they don't really work in the way that they're trying to get them trying to pull their product, right? And I think it's kind of like parallel to what probably happened out there with all the hash culture and because like when you were on the show the other time, we talked about there was like one region in this, I forget exactly where, but where they still smoked flower, but for the most part it's like hash culture, right? So you get, it feel like there's a parallel between the two different breeding styles where now people here are willing to get rid of things pretty easily just because they're always looking for something that produces more and checks all the points that people want, and unfortunately they're becoming very similar too. Like you start to see like, wow, everybody's like rainbow belts on everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain strains that just seem to dominate because when you're pulling bags or you're making hash, it's the difference between doing it 4 times or doing it 24 times. You know what I mean? Because so I think I see where the parallels are happening, and I think that's probably what happened out there too. Is like a lot of strains probably got lost in the shuffle just because they didn't deliver what the farmers wanted that year, and so yeah.
Actually, really. I mean, that's actually really true. I mean, if you look at one of these varieties, Shilavati from southern India, that's actually a different version of Kerala Gold. I mean, it wasn't really like a different variety altogether, a different landrace variety, because up until like 90s it didn't even exist. So it was like really like the early 2000s, I think it started making waves within India, and people up in north and everywhere was like, oh, Shilavati, that's what everybody wanted. Very few people actually knew it was not a different variety. It was only a different, I would say, version of Kerala Gold, which was then being selected and bred by the farmers. So what was happening is right around like late 90s and early 2000s, India was having this ITO and BPO boom. And a lot of people were like moving from villages to metro cities because they had like more opportunities. They could get jobs now. And most of these kids can actually speak English. So they could work in these places. So when they started like living independently, they now had the luxury. If they wanted to smoke weed after work, they could do that. So the demand basically started to increase, what I'm trying to say here. Mm-hmm. And that pressure directly goes back onto the farmer. They have to produce more at the same amount of time. So, I mean, logically, I mean, they had to start pulling out plants, which were taking way too long to flower. And they were just started to naturally gravitate towards the plants which are much shorter in flowering. I mean, they were still around like 15, 16 weeks, but having a 20-week and a 16-week still saves you like a month in between. So that's huge in terms of production and distribution.
And I guess
also you want to get out first before everybody else too. I'm sure that's another.
And real quick as well, before we get too far in, I of course know you well, but Can you go over your background and kind of for the guys who haven't heard you before, what you do, and kind of walk me through like the 5-step workflow you have, kind of like the collection, documentation, preservation, selection, and improvement, like just kind of how you go from the villages and what Indian Landrace Exchange is all about. Like you're not just a breeder who's doing things, like you're doing things on top of things on top of things. So could you walk us through that process?
Yeah, sure. My name is Irrazin, and I'm co-founder on Indian Landrace Exchange, one of the people who started it. So what we basically do, I'm just gonna like break it down to the very basic of our work, which is like 4 different steps. One is like collection, documentation, preservation, and improvement, which basically implies a way of carrying out things if you want to preserve landrace varieties, cannabis landrace varieties, or even any other different landrace varieties of any other plant variety. So what we do is like we go out to these different regions, these are traditional cannabis hotspots, and we collect seeds from the plants which are growing there either naturally or have been brought and domesticated across. And we try to get all that information from the farmers and from the people who've been there, who've been living there like 40, 50, 60 years of seeing what's been happening with those varieties. So these are like really 2 steps. So what we do is like we collect and then we document what we are collecting. We document the region, we document the people, we document the culture, and the most importantly, the plant itself and its features and everything. Now, that information, once it's documented, then it can go on to the 3rd step, which is really the preservation work, because you don't really want to start preservation before having to document the variety. What exactly are you preserving, right? Yeah. So now the documentation is done. Now you can do the preservation. So preservation is where you would grow them and you would reproduce the varieties. And once you preserved it in the seed form or in cutting forms. I mean, cutting form is not really. I mean, it's not something that works for landrace varieties when you're preserving them. But for some of the heirlooms, it might work because all you have is a cutting for them. But then once the preservation work is done, is the last thing is the improvement. Then maybe you've earned yourself a place where you can stand and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to use some of these varieties and I'm going to breed a new hybrid or I'm just going to breed like a better version from within this landrace population, because I've seen it's a very varied population, but there's this one expression that's really cool. So I want to pull that out. I want to breed that and I want to get it in seed form to people. Yes, you can do that after that. Once you've done the basic preservation in the truest form, which is you just reproduce with males and females without really interfering with the overall population. Like you're not selecting anything, you're just letting it make seed as it would have made in its natural habitat. So that's preservation in like true sense. And then obviously you have to get it out there. I mean, once you've done it, it's always better to have a few copies of that work with other people, because you never know. I mean, it's cannabis is still such a thing that you can never be sure. Plus, germplasm is susceptible to degradation over time if it's not stored properly. So just from thinking from all these perspectives, you want to preserve, but you also want to share with other people. You can distribute them, you can sell them if you're in a position, and you could like use some of those funds, like our organization do, to actually carry out the activities of the organization, and then half of those generated income actually could go back to the people of the region where exactly the seeds came from. For example, if the seeds are coming from Chitral Valley, so we'll have like a spot there. We'll have a person, who's connected to the local people, and then there are like collections happening. So once we get the seeds from these certain farmers, and they're sold like someone like you, someone like James does, that money actually goes. Half of the money actually goes back to the farmer. The farmer the seeds came from, which I think is a great thing. It's how it should have been from the very beginning, but I don't think the world was connected in such a seamless way, so it was not really possible without having to risk almost everything. But now things are a bit better, and we can actually do things like these. So
it's also creating value in the seeds too. I mean, that's the thing. Like farmers understand the difference between one year to the next, right? If they get 1 year where they get a bunch of 1-foot plants that don't have any resin on them, they're not happy, right? Their whole fucking year is fucked. And then the next year they get good seed, and all of a sudden it's a completely different story, right? Everything is so they understand how critical it is. It's just I think getting people to be now that everybody's a bit more open about it, and it's a lot easier to transfer information and it's worth it, to be able to, every little percentage point is a much bigger.
And for someone like me, like I don't have connections to those people in those valleys, right? Like they don't email me. They're not looking to distribute their seeds in the United States. And so I need someone like Irrazinig who's going out there, who's doing this good work to get me those genetics, because I don't, I definitely couldn't go over there. I'm too tall, too white. But for you to get into those villages and do these things and have your people do those things, like that's a huge service in itself, because I have no other connections from them. And as we know, banking is a son of a bitch. And so like I have no way to transfer them money or get them payment. And so it's, what you're doing is very important work and preserving stuff and helping those farmers make money, which they wouldn't have otherwise made off their genetics.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is, and you have to think about this. These people have never made money from seeds, and they don't even imagine things like this. They never imagine their cannabis crop that these seeds could also yield me some money. But when they do get it, it's a profound experience for some of these farmers, because they just can't believe that they can actually sell these seeds and get money for it.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to before in my long-winded way of saying it. Was like they probably never even saw the value of that. It was like there all of a sudden. That's huge.
Well, part of your career should be that nobody else recognized the fact that genetics were not only necessary but incredibly profitable. Potentially, once there's the relaxed laws or laws that support trading genetics or selling genetics.
Well, it's also awesome when you can see like a valley of your genetics being grown compared to like a tent. You know what I mean? You see a lot more, and I'm sure there's plenty of, like, for every 10 farmers, there's one guy or woman out there that just crushes it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you'd want them to be able to uplift all the farmers around them instead of people just growing continuously their same stuff, watching the one guy or girl fucking make it work and the rest of them not. So it's always good if you can do that, and I'm sure that's kind of what's happening, right?
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying.
Don't ask him to repeat that.
I was just saying that it's like you recognize the quality farmer, and then you can help that person help the people around them, so that there's always it's always like that,
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, it's exactly the same, everywhere. I mean, people are just the same. So you'll have 10 people, and just one out of those 10 people would be just exceptional in the way he carries out his stuff, even though everybody is working out of the same resources.
Yeah.
But, some people just have this knack to do things just a little better. And you can just see that from their crops. So the best part is, like, they're not running advertisement on you. And, there's not people, they're not influencers trying to convince you that, oh, you know what, like this guy is the best or that guy is the best. You can actually go there, look at their crops, and you can tell, like, oh, okay, whoever owns this crop is the man. Like, okay, we should like talk to this guy and see. And sometimes you want to understand, like, what exactly is he doing different. And most of the times they don't really have an answer for that, because for them it just comes so simply and so naturally that they're like, oh, I'm just doing what everyone is doing. I guess I'm just lucky, So
let's speak about that a little bit. You just brought back 10 new strains from 4 very different regions. How do you choose which valleys to visit each year?
So this is something that a lot of planning actually goes into, because not only that we have to choose what valleys or what regions we want to get the seeds out of this year, we also have to make sure that all those regions need to have like a certain theme, so that we can take all of those regions, all that data, and then put it in a document in a form of book. So it has to make sense in a few different ways. One is that the collection sort of have to make some sort of sense, need to have a head and tail that, okay, for example, in 2020, we did Dunn line project, DLP. So the theme there was, this is this 2,000-mile border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. And on either side of those borders, you have these regions which boast amazing, cannabis landrace populations. So we'll just go around this entire border, just cover this region and just pick everything out of around the border. So that sort of like gives you like a theme. So it's easier to put it in a book, but it also makes sense, collection wise, that you're really just collecting a very specific area, and somehow they're like connected to one another. So in that sense, we do a fair bit of planning, and then you have to plan the resources, the human resource, for visiting the regions. I go where I can go, and then we have like multiple other guys. They go other regions, because you have to understand. I mean, this harvest is like happening same time at like all these places. So it's just not practical for one person to be all of these places at the same time. And there's some political issues and a lot of other things as well that I would want to talk about. But mostly it's you have to be very careful when you're chalking out your plan for the year, because once we select what regions we want to select and where we want to go and get our genetics out of this year, then it's deal. It's like point of no return. Then we have to do this. But yeah, it requires a lot of planning.
What would you say are like some of the biggest challenges you faced out there? Like some of the biggest risks you faced on this trip, like the weather, politics, something totally unexpected. Like what was
geopolitical a lot. I mean, this because of this political things. I mean, I was in Kashmir in like 2019. I was in like northern Kashmir, and we climbed on this mountain. I was with all these like local Kashmiri guys, because they were like helping me. They were telling me like where exactly we need to go on the mountain, where the plants were and everything. And we got up high on the mountain, and really it's between India and Pakistan, right around like northern Kashmir. You have a de facto border. De facto border means it's actually not there. So you can really just like cross over to the other side and you won't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you will know once you like run into their army personnel. So
Yeah, as I say, military. You're like, oh, different uniforms. All right, we're in a different spot.
Yeah, you're basically dead at that point.
I mean, Kashmir's always like high alert.
You said you're basically dead at that point.
It has its set of problems. I mean, since forever, its conception. But I mean, then we ran into Indian Army. I mean, obviously, which was like it wasn't like they were like welcoming us, but they wanted to know, hey, how you got there? Like you can't be here. You can't be in this region. I mean. And then they saw these guys are like collecting seeds and they have like cannabis samples. Then they got like really interested. They wanted to know like what exactly are you guys doing, and carrying out any kind of research work and all of that stuff is not actually allowed in that region. It's prohibited. So unless you have a authorization from the government, which we obviously did not have. So they had us like pretty much on the gunpoint for about like 2 hours until they were absolutely sure that we're all like Indian citizens, and there's no fishy business going on. It's just some guys. They wanted to see some cannabis plant. There's some guy who came from outside, so all these local guys, brought him here to show. They were like completely convinced. Then they let us go, but it was extremely edgy. I mean, just being there.
So kind of on that point, you move seeds allegedly through areas controlled by different armed groups. Can you explain, like in simple terms, how you avoid paying bribes and funding conflict?
Or maybe you don't avoid it.
Or maybe you don't.
Yeah, it's not bribe. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of bribing actually, because see, when you talk about regions, high conflict regions and all these places, I mean, these things are like so big that money sometimes does not really work there. So what works there is people and talk. So that's where this human resource thing comes into picture. So I'll give you an example, Matt. If you want to like go to Afghanistan now, things have changed. The cannabis amount of cannabis they grew has plummeted by many folds, and it's so hard to get out there, and people are just not willing to show you even if they grow now. Things have changed. They don't want to die just for that simple reason. So if you now want to tour Afghanistan, you can't just like go there and think, oh, I'm going to run into some cannabis. Not going to happen now. So then you need to have someone, who has maybe like a wife there, or maybe some relative there, that knows somebody else, and then through that he will get there, and then maybe yes, pay a little bit to the farmer for his convenience, right? Because see, when you're just getting into someone's field, you have to pay them something right away, so they know you're not joking that you're gonna take their seeds and then you're gonna bring them money back. I mean, they get more money afterwards. They have to get something, start as well. So in that sense, I mean, you have to understand that sometimes it's not about money. Sometimes it's about having right people in the right place. And one of the best examples of that would be when we covered the fake factory of Afghan hash, gold seal hash. They are making this around Afghanistan border. They have these factories, and they bring in like really low quality hash. They mix it up, and they add some really bad stuff in it, like grease and vegetable oil, and maybe some some heroin as well.
Not seed oil,
And,
jeez. So dangerous.
just make this into this horrible concoction that actually looks like charas hash, and then they sell it. So we had like this guy who had another guy whose wife was like married into the family that was actually doing this. So then we could like send a guy there who actually filmed everything and got all that information out. Otherwise, there was no way in the world anybody was getting in that factory, and not a chance on this earth you were using your phone or any kind of recording device.
And it's funny, that hash would end up in Amsterdam a lot, the border packy. And it was like, you could really see how it was like they had perfected making it look correct, but the action was never there. You know what I mean? You could tell the minute you started handling, it was always really hard, like super hard, like not like charas, But yeah, definitely a lot of that going on. And unfortunately, it makes it through. That's like, that should be a crime, and it's set like that should be like where people actually get in trouble is like real hash, no problem. Fake hash, big problems. You know what I mean?
That's the reason behind why we have a legal regulated market, is to get
kind of like
rid of,
Thailand's going towards.
Yeah, to get rid of places like that, so that you have the backing of whomever is responsible for regulating the industry that comes in and says, "Fuck you guys, we're not getting in, we're shutting you down."
Now, you kind of spoke about geopolitics. Can you tell me about like a population that you documented but couldn't rescue due to geopolitics? Like what traits might already be extinct due to some of the stuff that you can't save or couldn't save?
I mean, we can. I can quote an example from within India. I mean, if you go towards South India, before Kerala gold, there was Idukki gold. I'm sure you guys must have heard about this strain before, Idukki gold. Oh, if you haven't, then well, let's talk. It's a legendary variety that comes from like 1960s and 70s, and it's been spoken about and pretty well actually documented, even back in the day by people who used to smoke it, and you can actually go and meet people who used to smoke it, like they're really old. But then that variety kind of got extinct, and one of the reasons was it was being cultivated by these like tribes and people. I don't want to sort of like you say like Maoist kind of like people, and so when the government really, started pushing back on that, they had to really start getting deeper into other regions where they were like safer. So they kind of had to abandon like some of this cannabis fields, and they used to grow regularly, and then they moved to these different regions. They got in contact with other people, obviously used to grow, and then the seed. Obviously, there was like huge mixing of seeds around like Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and Kerala, all this southern and like eastern Indian regions. So that kind of in all of that, the aftermath was that Idukki gold got lost somewhere around that period. So you do have, you're gonna have this kind of like political stuff, that's really intense, like you have in Kashmir, or you've had in the past in like southern India. Then you are bound to lose some of these things, because when it comes to when it's a matter of life and death, you have to leave behind these things. It's something like the California
You can't take all the
fires.
plants with you, obviously. So.
Fires when they happen in California, some of these farms, they have to leave everything behind. I'm sure they all like love their plants and they love their house and properties, but well, it's fire and you don't want to die. So
yeah,
if things are like intense enough, then people kind of like get like willingly leave behind things. And cannabis genetics, I can see one of those things that would get lost in that sense. So yeah.
Right now, we know that the listeners know that from listening to you in the past, how you kind of got started in cannabis as a teenager. I believe the story was, you were getting it in town, or you had a hard time getting it in town, and so you went eventually had to go and source your own, like on your teenage trek there. And I believe it was to the Pavarti Valley. But when was
Malana and Parvati Valley. Yes.
so when was the point that you realized that like land races were going to be your thing? Like this is something you needed to preserve and you wanted to work towards?
But see, this is where I would say other people also had a significant contribution for me to actually arrive at that conclusion. Because obviously, I wasn't like a kid, who looked at a plant and said, "Oh, they need to be preserved." Obviously, I mean, this kind of knowledge or this kind of realization doesn't come naturally to you. You have to meet people, you have to get inspired, you have to see things. So, well, I mean, initially when we were just like going around, we were just really interested in, oh, this hash is really good. It comes from Malana. Let's go there and see, what is the best we can get. Maybe we could get like better hash. Maybe we could get better prices there. Maybe we can like get more of it and all that stuff. You start with that. That's how you start. But it takes you to other places because cannabis is such a thing. I mean, you just cannot just do hash and not get interested in these plants and their features and the way they grow and the way they make you feel. And when you go to these valleys, there are like thousands and thousands of plants. The fields are like full. Cannabis plants as far as your eyes can see. So when you see that, when you experience that repeatedly, it grows on you, and then you start to just gravitate towards more towards these plants and why they look like this in a certain place. Because then you have to understand this. I'm going to these other regions, and what I'm trying to what I'm seeing is that plants here are like really different. That they're not like how I saw in Malana. The Manipur plant looks different. The Kashmir plant looks really different compared to Malana or compared to Nepal or Uttarakhand or even like southern Indian states. So that really intrigues you. I mean, if you have like even 1% curiosity left in you, that will intrigue you, and that would like make you want to understand why this plant looks like this here and not in a certain other region. And then you can really understand, it's the soil, it's the entire terroir, right? The climate, the soil, the water, the microbial, the local microbiome. All of these things are like coming in tandem, and they're affecting the plant and they're shaping it over time. And then there are people, which is really the biggest influence in the plant. People coming in, taking the plants in their own hands and domesticating them, shaping them according to their needs. So,
well, it's also like when you travel, like here in Colorado, when you go over the pass, as you go higher up in altitude, you just start to see like the trees getting tighter and gnarlier and smaller, and you know what I mean. So the same with cannabis, obviously, and you get to see it on situations where it's not even cultivated. Sometimes it's cultivated, sometimes it's just wild. And when you see wild cannabis, it's always a learning experience because it's like that shit just happened. You know what I mean? And even like hemp fields here in America, that if you go out in the Midwest, you'll find hemp fields that have been there for 100+ years and nobody's managing them at all. And those plants are probably where you learn the most, right? Because you can see like how the plant survives through the year after year without anybody actually doing anything. And if you tested those plants, they usually are like a 1-to-1 perfect ratio by themselves. You know what I mean? Magically, because they didn't get fucked by us trying to hype up the THC and lose all the other cannabinoids and constituents that make the plant special to begin with. So it's definitely one place that I wished I'd gone to when it was a little more open. Now I'm sure it's getting a little harder, but and it's like everywhere. Like Amsterdam was a destination for a lot of people. So when I was there, I'd be like, you should have been here 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And I'm sure every place is like that in a sense where there's, if you're talking to somebody local, they're going to want what you got and you're going to want what they got. So it's
just very natural. I mean, it's more like the old days, like the Silk Road days. So, it was what was happening. I mean, the Silk Road wasn't really governed by like certain government or by any sets of rules. I mean, you had like dacoits and you had like, all kind of like evil people on the way that would like kill you, loot you and stuff. But people were so...
Oh, you're talking about the Silk Road. I'm thinking about the Silk Road, the website.
No, he's talking like the real Silk Road.
The real Silk Road. I was like, you don't have gangs on the Silk Road on the internet? Like,
no.
James, stop listening to Beanie.
Oh no, not that Silk Road, man. Like, not that one.
I was like, damn, you guys were over there on the internet. You guys are selling weed, man. That's excellent.
Yeah,
So with climate change already heating up, the Hindu Kush and
Oh,
melting
look at you!
glaciers,
What you
glaciers,
AI
Wait a
questions.
minute, AI all the way. That was
what?
such an-
Why? We were just talking about. Weren't you
I
just talking
heard
about
the
going up
way
in the
you said
mountains
that.
and going higher and
No,
higher?
I know, but that was an AI. That was not a
They've
Jason.
all been
I'm
AI.
just saying. I'm just saying. What happens to these famous like berry sweet strains if their home climate disappears? Like, where do you?
Indoors.
Okay, so it's something that I've experienced is when you grow the seeds, let's say you bring seeds from Kandahar, Maruf Kandahar, and you see, oh, most of these plants have a very foul, rotting, sulfuric, ammonia, the paint thinner, like that. All this,
We like-
this is set
we
of
like-
this,
we
this
like all
tangent
this.
of
Love
smells.
that shit.
That sounded great.
Diaper.
That was the perfect description. It's like we like all that.
We like Indian baby diaper.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh,
Curry flavor, please.
curry.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
curry.
curry,
Good stuff.
curry baby diaper.
Yeah. Fermented curry breast milk.
Yeah, but when you bring those plants back, let's say you bring back to your home and you want to like grow them indoors. So obviously your indoor is completely different from Maruf Kandahar outdoors, where it has grown for many, many, many years. So, I mean, still in the very first generation, it may not express. Obviously, it may not express exactly the same as it did back home, but the genetic features, the major features won't really change that much. For example, if you have grown it properly, if you didn't stress out the plant and you really let it express the way it should have, then you should be able to get almost the same terpenes. Almost, not exactly. Almost is a keyword here. So you can almost get in that tangent, and you can get something similar, and you can experience that to some certain extent. But what happens is, if you keep growing it over time, then it kind of tend to start to change those larger features which don't get affected like right away in the first generation. You tend to see those other the growing pattern, or sometimes the intensity of the smell, or the variety, or the variety of the terpenes in there might get affected a little bit over time.
Yeah.
So you do have those very subtle changes, but for that you really need to be in there. I mean, like you have to be at least a breeder for you to experience that, because if you're just growing a few plants, and
Can't really count.
I mean, this is not in a demeaning way to anyone, but if you just like grow 3-4 plants and you have a 9 to 5 job, so you're really not 24/7 in the face of your plants, you might not be able to experience that, and just for the same reason, because it's just being grown for weed. So yeah, it does actually affect the plant when you bring them outside of their terroir. They tend to change over time.
So how do like these mountain plants that you're talking about? How do they handle the heat in like California or Spain when they come down from 2,000 meters?
So you have to see, while these regions are at about 2,000 meter, 1,500 meters, and California may not be, but California is higher up in the latitude, so you kind of compensate for that. You have to see. So you would have almost the same, like Southern California is kind of the climate you have over there, and the terroir you have over there is quite similar to Southern Afghanistan.
Really?
I'm sure you can actually go take a look at some of the pictures on my feed, and you can actually see that it's not that hard. And then you can see some of these regions which are up north, where it's a bit more greener, but it's mountainous, but it still overall kind of gets dry and really cold towards the winter. You can see those places would feature more of a climate which is closer to, not exactly Midwest, would be a lot more colder in US, but something like that, like really, really, really cold and really high up there. So if you were to have like natural cannabis population out there, they would have kind of looked the same, because you almost have the same terroir over there. So it's not like that these plants will be completely out of the place if you bring them to California and start to grow them even outdoors, or even other places in US.
So Which subpar like 2000 Afghanicas surprised you with the heat tolerance that could help like the U.S. outdoor growers facing the hotter summers?
The Kandahar is amazing because in Kandahar, during the days, you have temperatures rising up to like 40 degrees Celsius, 42, 45 even. So those plants are pretty familiar with how to take heat in the days, and they're also very good at like taking the colder nights towards the end of the flowering term. Because once it starts to get really close to the flower around like Octoberish, it really starts to get cold out there. Even though days could be like very sunny and hot, but the nights will get colder and colder and colder progressively. So these plants are just absolutely tuned to do that. So if you are actually in outdoors and you're doing that, you're actually growing these plants in outdoors, you may be able to get really good result. But obviously, it has to come down to the person who's growing, and they have to know what exactly they're doing and their soil and their environment and everything. I mean, if everything is dialed in, then these plants will be just as good as any other hybrid out there.
Cool. So we want to get in some strain talk, or do you want to? We can keep going through kind of your history and stuff, or we'd like to get into maybe like the 10 strains that you dropped. Kind of got some questions about each one. Speaking of like the string of pearl, that's the shortest.
Yeah, we can start. I think we can start with the strains.
Hey, maybe before we get into the strange, James, maybe you tease the giveaway a little bit to let everybody know what's going on with that, so we could.
Of course, Dave. I will do that because I believe in 15 minutes, his drop, which we're going to start talking about here, will drop on seedshownow.com. The code will be. It's tricky. It's going to be 15% off code, and it's tricky. I know we're stoners.
It's 57 characters, and you're going to need to use the shift.
I made it very easy for stoners, right? Where it's Indian Landrace Exchange, so it's ILE15.
Tricky.
ILE 15 gets you 15% off. That drop goes live in.
So I just looked at weather.
minutes.
I just looked up the weather for the next 7 days in Kandahar. 107, 109, 112, 114.
But it's a dry.
113. I'm like, damn. 60.
dry heat.
About 0% as far as rain coming. That's for sure.
What's the humidity?
It doesn't say humidity here. It's not giving me.
Well,
Humidity.
because they don't give you that number because everyone knows it's the scale of holy fuck. That's how humid it is.
I don't know, but it's definitely we got some heat going on there for sure.
You said ILE 15, right?
Yes,
sir. ILE 15.
But in 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They can get on the site now if they want to get ready for it.
Oh yeah. Do you think
So let's talk about the string of pearls then. It's the shortest plant in all in the drop, so probably best for guys indoors. Considering some of these other ones get kind of tall. Why does a mountain plant stay so small, and what does that mean for home growers?
Well, see, so that's the thing. I mean, what's really desirable in cannabis is what I've seen is they want to have this compact plant. They don't want them to grow 20 feet because most people don't have that kind of space. Right. So that's a very desirable feature. So when you go up to the mountains, what you're really doing is you're going into colder and colder regions where you're going to have the snowfall earlier and earlier, right? So higher up you are, the earlier the snowfall is going to be for you. So the plants adapted to a certain region. Let's talk about this string of pearl. So this is from Chitral Valley. I mean, that plant is adapted to a region that sees a snowfall somewhere around like, late October or like early November onset. So you're going to have that kind of snowfall. So those plants know they have to finish before that. So if they keep stretching, like maybe an equatorial variety from like Kerala or from, Thailand, well, they would never actually have the time to like just fill in the flowers and finish flower and even make any ripe seeds. And by that logic, that variety would be extinct within like 2 or 3 generations at the most. So what happens you actually have the plants that actually flower longer, even higher up in the mountain. But what happens is those genotypes get selected against naturally because they don't go on to make many seeds. And the plants which go into flowering early, stay shorter, don't stretch a lot, just start to put on flowers. They go on to make more seeds generation over generation. So in this genetic race, eventually the plants which flower faster and can make the right seeds before the snow sets in will eventually win, and you will see a population eventually, that consists mostly of the plants that flower fast and stay short and compact, because that is the best suited expression. I mean, we spoke right in the beginning about what landrace is. So landrace variety is like a variety domesticated or adapted to a region to best fit its locale. So that's what at all times, this natural selection is happening all the time, every generation. Even smaller things, they're like even finer things that you can actually go into. So the seeds from this variety, from string of pearl, I mean, you have to also understand that these seeds do not get collected by the farmers. They fall on the ground, then snowfall happens, and they stay frozen for about like 4 months. And only in the spring is when the snow goes away, they can germinate.
So
So
wait,
then
back up for a second. You're saying they come out and harvest them, and they shake the seeds off right then and there, and that's what they do, and they smoke the rust, or are they just letting it go rogue and fall over? And
so here's the thing. I mean, you don't the place this plant comes from. They don't really have a plant cultivation. So they had just a few plants here and few plants there, because Chitral Valleys has changed a lot. I mean, it just hasn't been the same place where you can just grow large fields like Afghanistan. So where it comes from, you only have these many plants with the farmers. So what they usually do is they would just like pick out these plants and not worry so much about if a few seeds, like fall here and there. And that's another thing, these plants tend to make the bracts, which are really loose, and these seeds, they just kind of come off. Even if you touch the plant a little bit, you'll just see a lot of seeds just kind of shower down. They self-eject themselves in a way.
Lester Green,
And that is an
Green Spoon
adaptation
looking.
too. I mean, if you talk about adaptations here, that's another adaptation, but that's like for another time, right? So in that sense, and then they'll take it inside and they will just collect the plant matter that has resin on it, and we'll just do dry sieving to extract all the resin, and then just throw away the remnants. Sometimes they use these seeds to make oil for edible purposes, because it's really cold out there in the winters and you don't have that many sources of food. So cannabis seed, hemp seed is an amazing resource for these people at the same time.
Yeah,
But
it looks
they're
like
not
an
taking
easy.
those seeds. They're not keeping those seeds to germinate back into the field. The ones which actually germinate, they germinate all by themselves, are the ones that actually get self-ejected from the plants. So you could kind of tend to have this certain type of population that grows in a certain way, dictated by its environment, the climate zone, and then you have a plant that also has these certain features for it to actually make sure when the seeds fall on the ground and they get snowed upon, they can actually survive and they do not actually germinate in the undesirable time. So, for example, if these seeds do not have, if they cannot delay the germination, what would happen is they would just germinate maybe 10 days after falling on the ground. And then it's going to be a snowfall, and yeah, they're not going to make it. So that's not a desirable feature for a plant to have in that region. And I'm sure there must have been some plants like that in the future, in the past in that region, but they sort of died out because that was not the favorable way of doing things in that particular region. So that really shaped this population, and that's why you see these plants are not so big, because they go into flowering fast and they finish fast, because what these plants really want to do is make seeds. The plants are not really working for us. We're just, making them work for us in a way. But plant always is
Well,
just
no,
trying
we're
to
we're
do its
working for
thing, which
them.
is
That's
make
for
seed.
sure. That's 100% for sure. That we are. They are not. They're not doing anything besides what they want to do,
What
which
they
is
wanna do.
manipulate us every day to keep making more of them. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, I guess that's what we're
take
doing.
care of me.
I guess that's what we're doing. So this Citral, because Citral was a really popular strain in Amsterdam for years, and it was like a super short and dense and kind of a flat-topped bud. It had a very specific look to it. It's obviously from the same region, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I mean, Chitral. See, this is one of the reasons I really wanted to cover this Chitral area,
Uh-huh.
because there's already this one variety that's out there. It's actually really just one genotype out of Chitral. So oftentimes people tend to believe, oh, if I go to Chitral Valley, then I'm going to see a full field of all these like purple, short, stocky plants. No, it's never like this because it's not a polyhybrid. It's a landrace population. So you're actually not going to see that. You're going to see a haphazard mix of, all the features that you know Chitral Valley for, like broad leaf, stocky structure, ruby red bud. It's really dense and flowers fast. So when you go out in Chitral, you can actually see all those features individually on different plants, and then you can see some of the plants, like very few, that has all of them in one plant. That would look absolutely desirable to you. And I can like share some pictures. I don't would have to just go back on my phone, but I will send you some pictures later once this is over, and you can really see what I'm talking about. So just for that reason, I wanted to make sure that our team goes there and we cover Chitral Valley and actually show people that it's not a field of ruby red buds all over the Chitral Valley hills. It's not like strawberry fields. So it's actually a very, very varied population, and you have these different regions within Chitral, because Chitral is a district. It's not exactly a valley. So you have many valleys inside Chitral,
Right.
and then there's this like major, obviously, Chitral Valley. But Chitral really is a district. And then you have like Mastuj, and you have Yarkun Valley. You have all these different places within Chitral, which are really interesting. They tend to have their own microclimates as well, so they shape these plants a bit differently. And you can actually see that through the pictures. When you look at the pictures of the different regions, it's very apparent. You don't need to be a scientist or a doctor or anything. You can just look at them and tell. Oh,
Yeah.
And what were
this
the
plant
four
is-
regions that you hit this time?
I'm sorry. What?
What were the four regions that you hit this time?
So we first was like Chitral. We went to Chitral Valley, and then we had Nawak Ghazni, which is in Afghanistan, and then we have obviously Maruf Kandahar, which is like a staple. We have to go back there, and then we had Kumrat Valley as well, and a few other regions. But then within Chitral Valley, we went to like a few different valleys. Like we went to Yarkun Valley, and then Mastuj, and then there's this other like smaller pockets within Chitral where we collected these genetics from. And we've documented everything inside this book that we just published with the Hindu Kush Experience project. So I'm actually sending over like a few copies to James. So he will actually have the books too. I mean, I think we'll share a few with you guys.
Heck yeah.
Uh,
Do you have a website that we can post in chat for chat too if they'd like to purchase the book?
cturnow.com.
Are they going to buy it? Okay, I didn't know if those were for James personal.
Brought to you
The
by.
books. That's
His book
perfect.
is always
I'm-
personal, but something we didn't speak about. He released a coffee book table last year,
Okay.
and then we talked about his books, and he's got another one coming this year. So those are.
Fabulous.
You want to speak about those real quick as well?
Does it smell like cannabis? Is it a coffee table book that
No,
smells
but they
like
do.
cannabis?
They did come with like a set of seeds, I believe.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Right, like the Hindu Kush Experience. Like, why release a coffee table book with the seed box? Like, are you selling genetics or anthropology?
yeah. I'm going to send like a whole box to you, so you can actually see what it looks like in the flesh.
Photos and what I've seen, not in the flesh. The digital version looks awesome. But I mean, but why did you want to do it? Like, just to maybe extra verify like your pronouns, like
No.
where it came from. Like, I got pictures of the shit. I was there. Here's me standing next to the plant. Like, it's
No, it's-
like you can tell. Like, I was at the space. It's not just fake land race. Like, I was. This is the real deal.
From a consumer point of view, maybe the consumer would want to think like that, and that's fair too. I mean, you just made some fair points right there, but that's really not the motivation. I mean, the motivation to do that, I'll tell you why. See, what we do here is we're not dropping like a new strain every month. We're not dropping every new strain every 3 months or even 6 months. This is a whole year project. So every year we start right off like March, April, and we work our way all the way down to the harvest, from the seedling stage to the teens, and then early flowering, then finishing flowering, then harvesting, and then extraction. It takes a living out of you. It takes so many people. It takes a massive, massive network of people to work in a very seamless fashion to actually make this possible. So for me to actually not take it and make it into a special box, not make it into something that shows a true celebration of those people's hard work that has gone into that for the whole year, that I think would be an absolute crime.
Yeah.
And then it extends into something in the other realms, like, oh, you know it's verifiable, or you have like some sort of provenance, you have like a sort of like a thing that you can collect, then that's good too. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But really, the reason behind doing it, things in a certain way, is to show respect towards it. It's like when you exercise and you keep yourself healthy. That's a way of telling people that you respect yourself. So in the same sense, if you keep your workplace clean, or if you have your work which is nicely made and nicely presented, I think you're just trying to show how much you actually respect your work and care about it. So many ways to look at it, but yeah, all valid points, man.
Well, it's also I mean, you're in the world of preservation and documentation, so to take it to the next level, which is get it published, and it's just awesome because like right now we're losing so much when it comes to media because people are just everything's digital, right? So everyone has 50,000 photos, but nobody has anything like tactile.
Find a good one.
And then if you go back and we find all this, we look back in time and you got all this, like, I'll open up boxes and find catalogs from, the 90s and stuff. And it's instantly nostalgic. And it also becomes, at the end of the day, that might be the only thing left because, like, people with music, people back, there was a time when I knew exactly what music I had. Now I don't have a clue what I have. I was going to have whatever, maybe, here and there, little things kind of scattered everywhere. But unless you want to spend a ton of money on some bullshit, it's kind of like, you just give up and just try to do what's free, which is kind of the way. So I feel it's best when you put things into a book, people buy the book, they get some seeds, it's a win-win. And, they might, if they're lucky, they'll have that strain forever, but they might not, but they probably have the book, you know what I mean? So they'll go back and be like, there it is.
James, are we live? Are we in discount time now? Did it drop?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. ILE15 gets you 15% off.
At seedsherenow.com.
Done. Yes.
And now, is that only off of
Yes, that's only off Indian Landrace.
Indian Landrace? Excellent. So there's no
Did you
reason to
put-
buy anything else right now.
Seeds here now in the chat.
I couldn't really say why you would. Like, that's kind of just like, I don't know why you would. Like, we have some really great strains, and all my breeders are excellent people. But for me, looking at this drop, it's kind of why I got with you guys on it. Want to have on is there's some good work in here. And so you spoke about is it the Yarkun Valley? So that strain's kind of like got like a paint thinner pine smell to it. That sounds wild. Like I like that kind of shit. So where does that aroma like that come from in nature, right? Like,
So I have a theory. I mean, obviously there is no proven, fully scientifically backed, peer-reviewed theories about how and why certain plants have a certain smell or not the other. But I have a theory of my own that I've actually published in one of the books that I wrote, I think back in like 2021. So the thing is, I think that the smells of the plant is largely dictated by the pollinators. So I'll give you an example. So if you go to the Himalayas, the Himalayan mountains, you see most of the varieties have a very sweet, a floral smell. I mean, basically, then you have a lot of other things going on there too, but the most part, it's either fruity or it's floral. And then you look at the pollinators around it, you see bees and all these like other pollinators that are actually attracted to sweet, fruity, floral smells. And it makes sense. And then you go to a place like Afghanistan where you get really acrid and really, this foul and pungent aromas like gasoline and rotting fruit and sometimes even, some dead animal and stuff. And then you turn around and look at the pollinators out there. It's like dung beetle and all these like other flies which are attracted towards smells of shit and all the other foul smells.
wow, you have to go there with it.
Kind of
Well, but
makes
wait a
sense
second.
to me.
That's
No, I
interesting.
appreciate
I
that.
like
You
that.
guys were just asking him for
like that.
baby
Yeah.
diapers. And look at both of these. You
So we
piqued
need, so we
their
need to get,
interest.
so we need flies is what we're saying.
Right. Wait a second now. We might be onto something here.
I got some pollinator flies I'm going to be bringing
Yeah, I'm
into
going to
my
bring
room.
your house. Don't worry
Well,
about them.
we know that the reason why humans smell the way humans smell is because of the microbes. So I wonder if it has something to do with maybe specific microbial populations, even in the soil, because
could.
our gut microbes dictate exactly how like we smell. So I wonder if it's something like that too. That's really interesting, though.
No, that is interesting.
So I also want to bring up the fact, Adam said it out loud, I was thinking it, that strain right behind you looks remarkably like Dr. Greenspoon. You know?
String of pearls.
Yeah.
That's the one you were just talking about.
But I wonder, that's when you got to roll the tape back in genetics. Like, where was the connection? Did somebody, are they related? Like, I wish there was a way to find that out. You know, if we could go to...
I'm sure there is. I mean
this one thing, that I actually want to talk about when we post something like this.
Well, wait a minute. Check out
this variety or any other variety. Most people are like, oh, Dr. Greenspoon, and I can see where they're coming from, and I've seen the pictures, trust me. But you have to understand, if you go to almost any region, you can find at least one female that's doing that. Mm-hmm. And what it really shows you is that some of these plants still have those primordial features in them. Because when these plants really started out, they didn't have these conical buds that, we desire so much. That's really the doing of us. That's the really human doing, shaping it into something that we find desirable. And even at the very basic levels of domestication, when you go to these traditional regions where they don't have advanced information on breeding and all that stuff, but having a better yield is just common sense. So you don't really need to be a breeder. You don't really need to be a scientist to know that, oh, this plant is yielding better, it smells better, it finishes faster. I should just, take seeds from this plant and grow. It just comes naturally to us. Breeding is just one of those things. So when you think about that, you have to understand that all these plants came from a population that actually looked like that. So that Dr. Greenspoon, even though it's a hybrid, that's truly was like a remarkable phenotype that they pulled out that is usually pictured. Not everybody gets it out of the seeds is also what I understand. And which is quite understandable because this is not a dominant trait. So you're just not going to see that trait proliferate in that manner within a population. So you'll really have to grow like a lot of them, and then you'll find that on the margin, that 1-2%. But it's really showing its wild, pedigree in a way, and you just get like 1 out of 1,000, maybe like a few out of like a few thousand.
But Mark, could we mark the tape there? Because Dave actually had a decent question. That's for the first time.
Dave,
Whoa,
congratulations.
Thank you, Dave. That was a spectacular question.
Way to go, Dave.
Wow, Dave. Get a gold star.
Okay.
You get a gold star at the end of the
I'm
show.
sorry. Did I say
Now,
it?
Maybe
Go
we'll put
fuck
on
yourself?
Instagram.
No, that was. Oh gosh.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Appreciate it.
let's go back to smelling shit here.
Smelling shit. Oh, yeah.
Smelling shit, right? Yeah. So purple apricot smells like fruit jam. Wild black is kind of like from the same area, so it seems, and it smells like dark berries as far as the description goes. How can two neighboring plants be so different?
So that's the thing. These populations have a different background. You know how I was speaking about what affects plant population over time, and I said human beings are probably like the biggest influence on these plants and the way they are. So you have to understand. This is not a perfect world out there in Chitral. We're just growing the same seed. There are people from one region of Chitral going to another region. Sometimes they bring seeds over there. They have seed trade just so we do, and just like they had thousands and thousands of years. I'm sorry, a few thousand years back, right? So you're gonna have this amalgamated populations. They're not exactly from this one. For example, what you grow in like Mastood Chitral may not be Mastood Chitral, for like last 1,000 years. Maybe somebody got it from like a neighboring region, maybe a neighboring valley like Yarkun Valley, and he started growing there like 50 years ago, right? And then you'll have like people who were in Mastood Valley who were growing that population itself, and then you're gonna have amalgamation between them because they're not really taking out males. They're not really worrying about whose crop is pollinating whose. So you have this really fascinating, amalgamation happening at all times. You have these different people. Some of them are growing their own seeds from that region. Some people may have gotten them from a neighboring region. So you're going to have that sort of diversity. And even if that's not the case, even if you go to like a place like Malana where we know, all these genetics belong to this region, you don't really have that sort of like seed sharing or shuffling there. Even there in those populations, you can pull out plants every now and then, which have a very peculiar, acrid smell, which you would feel, oh, it doesn't really smell like most of the plants. But that's exactly, that's exactly what it is about. This is exactly why you need landrace varieties, because you want to be able to find things which are out of ordinary. And I'll tell you for another reason also, which is like, I think is the more important reason, is it gives you the genetic insurance. Now, how it gives you genetic insurance is if you have a population of plants like we seeing in Chitral, this plant smells like berry, the other one smells like paint thinner, and then the third one smells like maybe woody and, like something else. Then what it's basically telling you is that at the very genetic level, at the genetic level, there are some differences in those plants, right? So let's say there's a disease outbreak and it wipes out like a certain type of plant. It wipes out the plant that makes this fruity smell. So you're still going to have some plants which will survive, which actually don't have that smell, which have a slightly different genetic makeup. So just having that slightly different genetic makeup can be the difference between getting the entire population wiped out or actually having some survivors who are a bit different, so they kind of survived, and then they can again proliferate the population. They can again reproduce, and so this is why you need diversity. I mean, this is why having a extremely bottleneck, type of cannabis, like we have in the polyhybrid market, is not really a good thing. I mean, because if someday, God forbid, something was to happen, some kind of disease outbreak at a very large scale, we might see like over 90% of these varieties could become like ungrowable, like they could get affected in a way. And then everybody would be, oh, what we can do, oh, we can go back to these other varieties, which might not be getting affected by this disease. So then people would have to do that by force. But I think it's just a better thing to just incorporate land races and just, add that little bit of diversity into the existing gene pool, and also try to just breed with those land races and see if you can really make something new, something cool.
And I think I've heard Dunn talk about how like that's why you kind of want to grow like an outdoor field, not of clones, but of seeds, because if something was to outbreak with seeds, you have enough like diversity there that with clones you might get kind of knocked out. Is that kind of correct?
You could, that could happen to cuts, but even in seeds, because if your seed is like super consistent, is bottleneck to give out only a certain type of expression, and if that expression is what is susceptible to the problem of the disease that's outbroke, then it's pretty much game over. It
Whoa,
doesn't even
James, what
matter.
happened? What are you doing?
Irrazin, have you ever come across in your travels, you meet someone who, they talk about the cannabis in their region that they just planted. I don't know, they talk, their grandfather, planted it, and they just know to go to this field. They don't tend it. They don't do anything. They just know where to go. They take what they want. They don't harvest it all. They take what they want, and it just takes care of itself, like a strain that's constantly, pollinating, seeding, and falling, just like you were saying, under the snow or however it is. And do you ever meet somebody like that? And if so, what is that strain?
Just about all the time. I mean, the village that I come from in Uttarakhand, in my village, we had set up like this. So we didn't really have like large plant cultivation. So there were like certain parts on the mountain, certain slopes, and certain areas outside the village, and everybody knew where they're supposed to go. So they won't go into like another guy's place, even though you don't really have like fields marked out, but they just know, everybody knows their limits and everything there. So they just go there, they'll make hash, let the seeds fall down, they'll just come back, not worry about anything else. And they will just go back there next season. They'll know they're gonna have the crops ready to be rubbed for charas.
So did anybody ever tell you, like, I know the date this was planted, like within a few years? Or, like, if you met a 200-year field or a 300-year, I mean, something that goes back generational?
That sort of thing is something that you experience in places like Balochistan, where there's this heirloom culture. Balochistan is a very interesting place. It kind of like reminds me of how you have almost in like California, you have these like forest regions where I'm not talking about terroir wise, by the way, where you have these farms which are in very secluded regions and they only grow their own strains, they only grow their own varieties and cuts, which they have gotten from like maybe they're from father or even from like some elder friend or like elder brother kind of a figure. So you have that sort of culture in Balochistan. You see these people; they're just growing their own heirlooms, and if you talk to them, they will tell you, "Oh, my father or my grandfather used to cultivate this here or there, and then he gave it to my father, and I got these, and these are actually 100 years old, or these are more than 120 years old." You get a lot of exaggeration, also, obviously, when you're in
As a guy,
What?
regions
yeah,
like this.
Come on.
goes from 80 to 160 like overnight. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
300 foot. You're kidding
1,000.
me.
This is
1,000?
ancient.
Oh my gosh.
That's-
That's, this is so
No,
interesting.
We're
This
just
is-
trying to be funny. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dave's not doing very good at it.
Yeah, fucking. I take back that prior comment there. Fucking.
that's pretty funny.
Sorry, buddy.
This one's foxtailed too. You can see this one. But yes,
gorgeous.
you meet a lot of people who have incredible stories to tell you, and most of these stories gives you a very good information about how that seed came about, and then it also tells you about the larger scene, how things unfolded here in last 50 or 100 years. Because you can ask one person and he might give you like a biased story. He might tell you like my grandfather did everything.
I am
Kind of
into
the-
OG Kush. Yeah.
So
He
you
built
go to
that
anybody
bridge.
and everybody tells you like their grandfather is the one who did everything.
Is there an Indian
So you
named
find-
Olaf? All right,
I'm sorry?
Nope, another attempt at a good joke,
Damn, Olaf.
but you don't know. Everyone
So,
knows the Olaf joke. I'll tell it during Patreon.
Okay. There we go. Now we're getting people signing up.
There we go.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
I
buddy.
love 100. So, are any of those strains available on the drop right now? What is available online?
Yes,
That's why
one
we're
of them
talking about him
is,
here, Dave.
one of them is Quetta Double XL, and James has that available. That is one of the most incredible varieties, and it's a plant specific selection. So what we're really I really want to put this point forward is that these seeds of the Quetta Double XL, they come from this one specific plant. So again, they haven't done breeding in the sense you guys do in America or in Europe. It's a bit broader. I mean, it's like openly pollinated, maybe a few different males out there, but you still are getting seeds from that exact female, which had this incredible bud. I mean, there's a pic.
Oh
Oh,
my
that
gosh.
picture is there, so you can see. I don't need to really say anything. You can see it. So yeah, and luckily this
Get out of
plant
the way,
yielded a lot of
James.
seeds, as you can tell. So yeah, I think the last few are there, and then we have some in one upcoming project. I think that we're gonna be doing in July.
That's
So speaking of that,
That's a
that
trimmer's
Quetta XL,
nightmare
we've-
right there. I'm
We've
just
had that
saying.
before, but that takes up to 13 weeks to finish. In
13
one,
weeks to-
yeah. So in one sentence, tell growers why it's worth the wait. Like why should 13 weeks? It's a long time.
Chad is asking how you spell that
I,
strain.
I mean, you have to first look at the yields. If you're going to have something that yields like this, it's not going to happen in 8 weeks, that's for sure. I mean, there at least going to be 3 or 4 weeks of pre-flowering stretch in that plant for it to actually really throw those arms out like this and then fill those up. So
is the green
if
plant
you-
behind it a different strain, or is that just a different plant?
It's the same set of heirlooms. So he would just grow maybe like 5 or 7 plants, and every time he would get a plant that would just looks ridiculous right out of the gate.
The question
Like
is,
it.
what's the name of this strain again? Spell it if you could.
It's Quetta. So what we have done is it's just better to denote it with the name the name of the place it comes from. Quetta is in Balochistan, Pakistan. So
Starts with
it's
Q. Quetta.
Quetta, Quetta. And that's so you immediately know where this variety comes from. And double XL is obviously it's suggesting the yield, the way it grows, the way it yields is double XL. So you just and that is something we speak to farmer with, and we let them know that this strain actually we might need to add like a suffix or like to this one to just make sense of it, to highlight it a little bit, so that people know right away. Okay, you know what what they're getting into. And if they're okay, then we do that. But we always make sure, the name of the region is there so people know, which is the most important thing. And then, background information on these varieties are all documented. So if anybody wants to get hold of more information, they can always do that. I'm pretty sure it's out there.
We have all information on the site, and of course, we will have the book hopefully when it gets there. But so that's why it's worth the wait. Then, so it's the end product is superior.
So I just sent a photo over to Mark, which he could pull up, which was that double dalai. That
Double the line.
Yeah, that sprout. That thing looks ridiculous. I was like, wow, some vigor on that. How did that thing finish out? Because I just saw the young sprout, the biggest sprout ever.
Yeah,
that thing.
I just put them in flower. I just put them in flower. Yeah, that was one seedling.
Yeah.
So I was really happy. I was like, I'm gonna take a picture and just post it so everybody can see.
That's that's got a proper prehistoric vibe going on to it, right?
That's amazing.
So beautiful.
Where did that come from? Don't tell me.
This is double dalai. So this is a variety that I've bred from scratch using 4 different land races. I started doing that in 2018, and I finished in 2022. And then what I did releases of F2, F3, F4, and F5. Then I discontinued this variety at F5, and this actually is the version 2. And then I went back to F1 stock again, and then I popped like a lot of seeds last year here in Thailand. And I selected this female, and I've kept it. And then what I've done is like made some seeds with it, and then I'm like growing those two, and I'm growing some F1s, some F2s from that population to just, find like a good male and then make seeds with it. And if it all goes well, then I'll have a version 2 release of Double the Line.
Yeah, that thing looks like
So
You said it right, prehistoric.
Yeah.
It looks like you're going back in time.
I like
You know,
happy plant.
like if you get out of a time machine and open the door, there's that generation of cannabis right there.
You see, that's what you get when you're using land races. If you breed with land races, this is the upside. You're going to have this kind of vigor in your newly made F1 hybrids. They're always going to grow incredibly fast, and usually they're very resistant to pests and other problems as well. So it's really a good idea to do that if you have the bandwidth, if you have the time. Even if you don't have the bandwidth, let's say, you have to sell, like drop a strain every month, and you have to do these things in a fast forward way. You could still be doing it on the side for like next 3 years, and 3 years fast forward, you can have one. But I think a lot of people are just waiting for the perfect time. That's really not going to come.
The perfect time was yesterday. It's always the case. No, that's awesome. And again, like, I think that's also why people always go back, like, especially people who've been growing for a long time. They're like, back in the day, I had so much more vigor. It's because those plants were not all intermixed already. You know what I mean? And now we have if you're coming in from, especially with clones or things that are already out there, there's probably over 50% chance if you start making crosses with unknown back end of plants, you are kissing cousins without even knowing it. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, you're just going deeper down the bottleneck road, and it's kind of like all these people are breeding over names less than not breeding on anything besides trying to bring this hype strain to that hype strain, which even goes further down the bottleneck road, and we end up at a certain point where we're just all going to be growing very similar.
Skittle runs cookies lotto.
Yeah, gelato runs Skittles combos, and which are not good, So
It smells Jackie.
No,
So-
So this is spectacular.
So for the guys out there who are breeding, because that's that's what we want them to do. That's what they're doing. What are some altitude-borne like mold resistance, rare Lionel profiles from like the new Sechel drop?
So I think if you want to go for something that has like mold resistance and sort of mildew, you ought to be looking at these like Chitral Valleys, especially the Mastood, the varieties out of the Mastood, which is that purple apricot one, I think, and String of Pearls is there, obviously, because there were these pumpkin patches out there growing nearby, and I understand, the mildew, the powdery mildew variety, that affects the pumpkin plant. It's not the same that actually affects the cannabis. It's a different strain, so it actually doesn't jump. but still you can see that's a place which is susceptible to this kind of problem. And then you have these plants which are completely unaffected. So I think that might be that might be a place to look at. But if you want to go like really extreme with mold and mildew resistance, then you obviously will have to look towards the equatorial regions where the humidity is like always 70% and above. But then there are going to be really long flowering, and if you use them, you'll have to do a lot of work. So then it's a trade-off. Then you have to decide what you want to do. If you use chitral, you're not getting the extreme end of the pest, the mildew mold resistant, but you're getting a variety that flowers short and resin-wise is good, got bigger trichomes, and almost everything is there. So it's easy if you take that and cross it to an existing variety that works well in the market, but you just want it to be better mold or mildew resistance-wise. That's a better idea to pursue. But you can also cross it to something from equatorial regions, something from Thailand, something from southern India, something from Laos, Cambodia. But that will take you down a road that will be a long road. So if you're like that guy, surely do that. But if you don't have that kind of time, you want to do things a bit faster, then I think Chitral Valley varieties out at your website right now might be the tool.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just the fact that plants have a shorter flower time eliminates so many problems, because an 8 or 9 week plant has 8 or 9 weeks worth of issues potentially, and a 14 or 16 week plant has that much more time. So if you have any issues at say week 8 or 9 or 10, you're fucked, because you got 4 or 5 more weeks, and the plant's gonna take 2 weeks to bounce back from whatever issues you might have had. So I mean, longer flowering is just more patience, and it's also the key, I think, which most people fuck up, is they overfeed those plants because they are feeding them like on the same schedule, where they really have to extend that initial veg time, plus feed them lighter because they're going to be feeding them longer, technically. So and people kind of get, sometimes it's hard to adjust, especially when you're used to just slamming them and harvesting in 9 weeks every time, you know what I mean? Which is unfortunately the norm in most people's places, regardless.
No, I think that your cotton candy and the spicy strains both finish in like 9 weeks, right? So what simple grow room tweak would help one taste its best?
Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about the Nawa Ghazni population. This is a very special population, and this is especially, we picked this field out for people who want to grow a landrace, but they don't have a lot of time outside. So someone in Canada or someone in like higher latitudes, I see a lot of people, they complain, oh, this was like great, but I couldn't finish it outside, and I don't really have means to grow it inside because I have like my other crop inside, right? So this is the perfect variety. That's the one you want. I mean, and then you can select, you have like a few different options. So we didn't just select one. They will finish end of September. End of September, like 1st October, you can harvest them outside. Okay. But I think if you're growing them inside, if you must grow them inside, then one of the things I think he just went over was you should not be like feeding them over and over. And how they should be dealt with is, what you do is you just make like a good mix of soil, and you pack the lunch for the plant for its entire life cycle. So you basically packed its lunch for the entire life cycle, and you just water. Now all you gotta do is just give it water, and the food is in there already. And I think that's when they really perform well, because that's the kind of environment they actually grow in. That's how they grow. They already have all the nutrition in the soil, and the farmer just comes and he just waters it, ever so slightly. Actually,
That's the crop
Feed the
I
soil,
need to
water
grow.
the plant.
That's me. That's Dave's crop. That's all I can do. I can water it.
That sounds great.
Which I believe, shout out to my buddy Duke Diamond, who has a soil mix out on Build a Soil. Go check him out.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, let's get the shameless plug there.
I love
So about the narwhal, you've got, because I'm entering the strains here, I'm like, I already entered narwhal. So what makes the narwhal elite? What makes that plant earn the elite badge in your eyes? Because the narwhal cotton candy is different from the narwhal elite.
Yeah, so there's this one variety that's named Elite, and when you look at that one, you would say, oh, this one has just the same amount of resin as I'm seeing on these other foxtail ones, and that's fair. But when you look at that plant again, what you also see is not only that it produces this, really good amount of resin. It has that nice conical bud structure, and it actually looks pretty close to what we're seeing in these established hybrid varieties in the West. So you can just see that plant is like really out there already. I mean, it almost nearly have all the features that you need for it to be a commercial variety. So it was elite, it was unique. So it was, I think, pretty apt for us to actually name it elite because it conveys the meaning so effortlessly for us that surely this is a landrace variety, but this is elite. If you just want fast flowering, proper bud structure, a great smell, good high, you know, I mean, just about everything about that plant. I mean, it was just growing perfectly. And it was certainly like one of the elites within the field. So we thought, okay, you know what, this plant, this will be one of the selections. Not only that you get short flowering within this field, you also get this amazing expression, which is nearly what people desire when they grow their hybrids. And now you can have that in the landrace. So, I mean, the possibilities are going to be out there. So you have to prop the season. You might even find a better plant. You might find a plant that's very close. So, and that is part of the fun when you're growing landrace varieties. But what we have done is we've gone ahead and again done the plant specific selection. So we're just trying to narrow it down just a little bit, but not a lot, so that you still get all the diversity that was in there, but you also get a good fair share to get a shot at getting the pheno, that's being shown in the picture.
Nice.
Interesting. See, I was entering. I was like, I already did this one. Like, which? No, like a different valley. So I was like, but that's why and it does it. I mean, obviously, it looks different in the pictures. So.
And if guys want to actually see these plants growing right now, as of today, my friend and one of the guys who actually works at Full Power Selection.
Twist my arm. You can buy me a ticket. I'll
Massachusetts.
fly over there today. Twist my arm. Shit.
James, you'll be a giant.
I know. I already tried to go there last year, and he told me I couldn't go.
Too big? They wouldn't let you in?
Too big. Too big.
You didn't fit into anything?
Like,
They just said sorry, sir, and sent you back when you got there?
No, I talked to I ran into yesterday, and I was like, that would be really rad. And then he was like, yeah, I don't think so. And I was like, okay.
I think you do fine there.
I don't think so. I'm not willing to risk it though. So although it's being risk it, I mean that's what essentially like when you break it down to why these are special and why why I think they're special. I mean, essentially these guys are risking their lives to get this stuff. Like you said earlier, like if you come across you cross this land border and you come across the wrong army, right? He said, that Dunn said you would know when you hit him, and he said you're dead, right? So like this is a real deal. Like this is real for people back east, and it's we have it much better. I won't say much. We have it different in the West, and so but for him to be going and doing these things is why I think it's really really cool.
Well, wait, hold on. On that front, since Thailand is rolling backwards, what is India doing? Is there any hope that it'll just sweep across in these regions, that it's still really dangerous to cultivate? We'll sort of relax and look at other regions in India that have done the same?
I mean, India has been making some strides, but in patches, I would say. So it's just not enough. I mean, a country of 1.4 billion people, I mean, you expect a little more. And at least for a plant that's like embedded in our culture. When you look at when you think about India, you think Hinduism, and obviously cannabis plant is such an integral part of it. It's
Of Hinduism?
In Hinduism, right? The Shiva, he's really hailed as the creator of the cannabis plant. So on the Shiva's birthday, we offer cannabis leaves, and we even drink cannabis beverages. So it's really embedded in the culture and it's out there. But then I feel for a country to have such a rich culture, have it there, not just physically in terms of land races, but also a part of their culture. We ought to do more. We ought to do it faster.
Yeah.
And we certainly be doing better. I mean, in India, because
Well, considering
I
that,
mean, I personally have so much hope
yeah,
from
considering that
India.
Ayurvedics is such a big thing there too, and it's, and as far as cost effectiveness, it's what everybody pretty much what we need, something that is cheap, grow it yourself. You've already got the history.
All right, one last question before James goes back to AI. How early have you seen, or is it documented, in Indian culture? I mean, where's the first evidence of cannabis? I mean, how many thousand years does it go back?
So it actually doesn't go thousands of years. It actually goes back into an era where essentially don't really have the modern day calendar dates. So it
Predates.
goes into Yuga. So they're like different Yuga. So I really don't want to, get into it. It's a different rabbit hole. But
Back to
because,
Teppy.
because cannabis plant, has something to do with the Indian gods, like Indian culture and Indian Hindu's religion itself. So you have to understand. I mean, it just goes back as long as Hinduism goes back. So
So we got a tough one here for you.
And then
Got a
it took
tough one
the
for you.
United States to fuck it all
Right?
up.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Holy shit.
After all that time, and we have
Well,
to
to just misinterpret it. A lot of people never have had somebody be able to explain things to them like that in that way, or it didn't come up in conversation. So thank you for being so
Yeah.
thorough in all of the ways that you're doing things, giving back to the farmers and paying homage through your publishing. That's phenomenal. Thank you for how you're giving back to this plant in all
And
ways.
pointing out how the U.S. is an oppressor. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We
There's
can
no
do
such thing.
better if you know
We-
better.
we
Now
are
you can do
self-oppressed.
better.
We suck,
We are all-
man. That's just terrible. I mean, you're talking about before white people even came out of the forests, probably, and Indians in India it was being cultivated. So it should be legal everywhere across India at least. You should be allowed to profit from the plant that coexisted with you for, what was the word
Yeah,
you
it-
used?
I
With
mean,
an
I hear
M?
the words that you're even using, like you should be able to profit from it, and it's like a reciprocity thing too, like
They-
all the
they
way
need
down
to-
to the genetics that survive, the genetics that are going to survive, or it just goes pretty deep. And I appreciate the ritualistic part of it and paying homage in those ways and keeping genetics alive. That
All right, back to James Bean's.
Yes, the
No,
kind
I
of question
appreciate
I'm
all
thinking.
that.
I'm thinking back.
Thank you.
When you pick only the best plants, right? Like the Now Elite selection, so that's the best one that was out of that valley. Aren't you shrinking the natural gene pool in those villages that they've relied on for centuries?
So exactly. I mean, this is something I just touched upon, I think, when I just spoke last. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a balance. So we're trying to bring a landrace variety, that brings in all this diversity and these new traits and other features which may have gotten lost in the present varieties and are actually not there to breed. But at the same time, we're trying not to do a disservice to people who are buying these seeds. Because see, there's a pictorial representation for every variety. So you have to try to at least give them something, that'll get them a good shot at finding that pheno. But at the same time, you cannot narrow it down a lot. So that's why what we do is we go into the field, we select a particular female, but understand that one female may have gotten impregnated by maybe 20 males around it. So you do have that amount of variety in there, but at the same time, we're not choosing like very many different females also. So it's just one female. So it's how close you can actually get to getting a good balance for people who are buying the seeds, who are paying for it, but also you delivering what you're trying to deliver, which is the actual landrace population where people should be able to see a few different types of plants and so we just try to do that. So what we try not to do that is take maybe a variety from Kandahar and just like inbreed that invariably and then maybe drop it. We've done that with like Hindu Kush, but that's like my own personal project because there I wanted to do some breeding with it, and I just really like that plant. That was really for myself more than anybody else. But ideally, what we do is we go to the field, we pick out these stocks, and those stocks just end up on like a website, like there now. So we're really like working like a vessel here. You get both a good amount of diversity with a good possibility of getting a shot at the same pheno that you see in the picture.
And that
I
brings
mean-
me to why seedturnow.com carries the wildest selection of Indian landrace in the
Not
in
AI
the
at
US.
all.
The exclusive retail on this drop. You can only buy them at seedturnow.
James.
Just letting you know.
Exclusive.
Where do you get them?
Seedsherenow.com.
.com, not .org,
.com.
.net, .us, or anything like that. Right?
You can. It'll just forward over to me still.
Oh,
He owns all those.
Heck yes.
all those.
300 websites.
.ai.
No. All 300 are mine. Going exact match domain for people that knows what those are.
So can you just, before we go, list the strains we just went over so people can look up on the website and look for them?
Yep.
How many
and I've been
we discussed?
I've been dropping the links in the chat
Okay.
to each one.
There we
Oh,
go.
thank you,
That's
James.
The string of pearls, the cotton candy, the Nawa Elite, the Yarkun Valley, the purple apricot, the wild black, string of pearls. I kind of want to get into the Maroof red and the Maroof black.
Yeah,
The Maroof black
that
is like
looks
all
insane.
diesel and naphthane, and that's what I mean. I like. What kind of effects do smokers report from smoking a plant that smells like gas? Right.
Okay, so Maroof on that, I mean, this is first of all, I mean, it's one of the most legendary regions, where we visited again and again. And one of the reasons we keep going back to this place every year is it just yields this different type of population that just smells incredible. I mean, we do get like other landrace populations that have acrid smells or a bit foul, but then there is like something else mixed in there. But if you go to Maroof, if you find these plants in there, they just smell like death, or they just smell like rotting eggs, or they would just smell like something something absolutely out of this world, that you wouldn't actually believe that, oh, this plant could actually also smell like this. It's incredible that it can. So that alone, I mean, this for me makes it like really special, this region. Now, why it actually produces these plants and not some other regions, obviously it's like up for debate, and people can like think of their own reasons. But when you smoke this, is when you really understand, that this plant is not just about the smell. It just encompasses that, and actually also, I mean, just really shows up when you smoke as well. It's not just one of those things that it smells good, but when you smoke it, it's not that good. So when you find a good pheno that actually smells good, has a high amount of like volatile organic compounds like terpenes and like cannabinoids, and you smoke it, it will actually get you really high. But the high is sort of one-dimensional, is what I would say. I wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention that. It's a very narcotic kind of high. So it sort of like sedates you and like makes you sort of like sit down, and
And would this be
sort of like sit down and keep
flower
still.
or would this be hash that you're talking about? Just because I'm saying locally, I mean, obviously somebody growing
Hash?
Yeah.
Most of the times when we're referring to the effects,
Yeah.
they have been ascertained by hash, because it's
Sure.
very rare that we would actually go on to smoke landrace flowers.
That's,
I
what,
mean, we do,
that's what I'm saying.
but
I'm
not
just
more,
thinking, right.
Yeah. And thanks for actually bringing that up.
And would it be because I get a lot of times you get like a lot of burnt rubber vibes too from those kind of acrid kind of plants. Are you getting that too, or is it more unique?
So-
Because that's it.
So what I've like, no, what I've felt is, because I've had like some of the people come over to, India and even in Thailand from America, and what I realized when I was meeting them is that there could be this one smell which you will refer to differently, and I would refer to differently, because we're from like different cultural
We speak
backgrounds.
different languages, of course.
Yeah. No, even if we were to like speak in English, it's just how you feel certain thing is different. So I'll give you an example. For something like gas. So here, maybe in Asian countries, anything that's even like remotely like diesel or has that like kind of gassy sort of smell, they would call it gas. But that may not be true for someone who comes from US or Europe. When they come, they have a different standard of rating that, and if it's more like berry-like, then they would say, oh no, this is not gas, this is just berry and maybe like a bit of that or a bit of this. So it seems like we all have our different ways of ascertaining, and even sometimes two people would refer one smell differently.
Yeah.
Like,
well, gas is
like
the
some
worst.
people,
Gas is like the worst description because, like,
very broad term.
you know, like there's times where I'll get some diesel on my hand or some real diesel, and I'll be like, no, that's fucking gas right
That's
there.
gas.
Nothing smelling like, you know, and people have overused the name, and it's kind of like anything that fits a certain diesel
Yeah.
/ Kush category or something. People are like, oh, that's so gas, and I think it's kind of like it's lost its real meaning.
It's
as well.
well used, really essence. It kind of loses the essence. I mean, you look at it for us, the word skunk. So where we live in this part of the world, there are no skunks. So there is absolutely no possible way for us to refer anything to as skunk. And if we do, that means we just like read it somewhere maybe, and then we're like saying it maybe for like marketing or whatever. So when we actually have something skunky here, what we're referring to it as is the gas. And I'll tell you the reason.
Right.
The gas cylinders that we get here in get in India or like most of the Asia, they are liquefied petroleum gas. And when you liquefy the gas, the petrol,
Yeah.
to like a gaseous form,
Fart smells.
what happens? It loses its smell. No, it
Oh.
actually loses the proper
Just
some of the
the
properties,
opposite.
and it doesn't have any smell. So if there's a gas leak, you're gonna have a problem because nobody would know by smell. So what they do is they add a little bit of butyl mercaptane in that. So butyl mercaptane is what people
Mercy.
refer to as the skunk smell. You can actually Google that.
Yeah.
So we know skunk smell from that. So we know for us that's the gas leak. So for me, when I say something gas, and I think I'm more referring to like a butyl mercaptane type, like a skunk kind of a smell.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
what's
that's
the difference,
interesting.
before we talk about the red, what would be the big difference between like the wild black and the roof black?
So this wild black, this is really special because it comes from a very special valley of Chitral, which is Kailash Valley. Now, I would highly suggest everyone who is listening right now to actually Google Kailash Valley and actually read about this place a little bit and the people. It's a really secluded, beautiful culture where these people are, they're just so much different from anything around them, just like the plants that they have over there. And what has really happened in that region, not only that it's a secluded culture, they haven't had like a lot of exposure from the outside. So even the crops they have and the stuff they have is not very adulterated. And you have really wild looking plants out there. So in that valley is when you really see the primordial structure of the plant. I mean, these plants still are going to flower fast because they're from Chitral Valley, but they sort of grow really tall like an equatorial variety. So if you just like let it flower outside on the outdoors, you'll end up with something like maybe a 7-8 feet plant that also flowers, within like 8 to 9 weeks. So you can have that. But when you look at the plant, it's not going to yield huge. It's not going to have those amazing huge colas like Quetta, because this is almost untouched. This is so close to the primordial. This is so close to what these plants were before we got there, before we got to them. So that really gives you that a very narrow passage to actually step into this new realm where the domestication hasn't taken hold a lot. So this variety really gets you the access to that sort of genetics. So if you're like that person who's like, I want to use a variety that is really close to what cannabis naturally looked like when it started to proliferate and all, then this would be a great option. Obviously, all the other details about the plants are mentioned on James' website, but I think this is a great option for anybody who is just trying to dial it really back.
Nice.
Right. Now on the Maroof red, it's got like a rotten egg kind of funk.
Yeah.
Scares some people away, right? Like I want that. I like that. I'm sick of dessert strains. But are you purposely hunting for smells that extreme? I mean, you're not going for basic shit, right?
Well, it seems to be one of those things that everyone likes, and if you tell this to someone who doesn't smoke, it's very hard to explain them why this would be a desirable smell, like dog shit or
Right. Well,
an animal, right?
you're smoking what?
No, I'm not smoking. I'm just referring like this could be like one of the profiles could be in there. So it's hard, but the one who smokes, the people who know, they know. So it's really for it's really for people who already know
Yeah.
they want that. It's really not to like convince someone that hey, you might want to smoke this. It smells like shit or it
Good.
smells like a dead animal. That's not really good marketing, to be honest. If
My dog
right,
ate my
but
stash, man.
but this is very specific people who know, so they know and yeah, it's really for them actually.
So I think I got just like I think we're on time. I got maybe 2 or 3 more questions. But if a new grower can only buy 1 pack from this drop, which strain is the most forgiving for like beginners,
Most
and
forgiving.
why?
Okay, I would go back to Nava Elite selection very specifically for a few different reasons. One, even in Nava, I mean, you have very. I mean, the terroir is not very easy. I mean, it's really extreme, and the way they water their plants is just like straight out of the land, and they're not filtering out anything, and it's just growing out there in the wild. And this plant was growing really tall and really robust. It was perhaps one of the taller plants out there. It still finished like really fast and gave you good results. So I suppose this could be one of the more forgiving plants for people, and they'll still be able to get a very decent result by growing this. My friend is actually growing it. My friend, his account is Tonglin Song Project.
You have to
He
spell that for
actually
me.
have you should know that. You don't know that guy?
No.
I'm
He
already
grows a lot of
Googling
land
where you
races. He does
said.
a lot of charity work.
It's okay.
He's
man.
amazing. You guys should check him out.
Jamie Cady
It's-
is on it right now.
Yeah, I'm already Googling the valley. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to look your
Okay.
friend up too. I want to see what this
Yeah.
looks like.
So,
Way
so
past the
he's
valley.
growing it and it's coming out fantastic right now. So I think this could be it. If you're like a first time, you're trying to get into land races.
Is he
And
is he
that
is he a
is the
first time
plan.
grower or is he a experienced grower? Your friend.
Oh, he's vastly experienced. He's probably
Okay.
one of the best guys who grows these land long flowering
All right.
plants. He grows these 20 weekers indoors, and you have to check him out. It's Tong uh, Linglin Song Tonglin Song. I think I might be.
So Google will suggest it if you're.
Oh, it's Tonglen. I think yeah. Tonglen Song Tongling Song Project. That'll just come up.
So whether you're highly experienced or you're a new beginner, that strain's gonna be the most forgiving.
Yes.
The best one to start with. All right.
Thank you.
Which, like, let's fast forward 5 years. Which of today's 10 strains do you think breeders will still be talking about? And what makes it like a future classic amongst today's, heavy hitters?
And then the first one that comes to my mind is Maruf Kandahar. I think that for sure will be one of the varieties that is going to lay the foundation for the next generation of, hype strains or however may you want to categorize them. So that's one for sure. Black, red, doesn't matter. Even if you get like genetic population out of, Maruf Kandahar, I think it's really good if you can. And then obviously, I mean, these new varieties that just came out of Chitral. I mean, I don't want to speak a lot because this is the first release, and I would really like these varieties to speak on their own behalf when they get grown. But I definitely see one of the varieties from Mastuj actually really making it into the broader sphere and actually getting more interest from breeders, and then obviously getting incorporated into the gene pool. So that's another one that I see would do really good. And then Nawa is really, I mean, how people receive it. I think if people give it a chance, I know there's not a lot out there from Nawa Ghazni. I understand that it's a new region, but you have to understand that we're just didn't go to this region for the first time and just pick something. Oh, here's a new region. No, we selected something I think that's truly exceptional because it was finishing like last week of September and this thing was done in the field. So I think this one is really taking a look into, and from breeding perspective, I think it's a gold mine.
The Beaujolais.
I-
The early flowering Beaujolais of the field there. No, I know sometimes it can definitely be a huge win because
It,
everybody's
it,
on the
it
same
actually is,
schedule.
how you were saying, it's about mathematical probability. If you have a longer flowering strain,
Yeah.
you just have a larger probability of something going wrong. And by that, I'm not trying to say people should avoid that. People, but if you're going into a commercial setup where you want to cater to a certain industry where there's a certain demand and there are like timelines and service level agreements, then you ought to have a product that actually performs consistently and does it faster. But at the same time, within that 8-9 weeks, you could bring in these new traits, you could bring in these new cannabinoids, terpenes, and who knows what else. I mean, people get really creative with these things, so everything is on the table.
Now, like a fantasy cross, like if you could legally ship, pollen anywhere in the world, which single Hindu Kush female would you cross to like a classic Colombian gold, and why?
Go.
I would use the Andarab village Hindu Kush. That's the one that I've inbred for myself from 2018. That's what I really like to smoke most of the times. It's really good. I think that could be an amazing new variety. I don't know a lot about Colombians, obviously, varieties, but I've been reading, and there are like definitely like legends out there, who've done work with like Colombian a lot. But yeah, I think that could be a dream cross for me.
Which is a great segue to you are also working the Freak show, right?
Yeah, I have been working on it since 2021. The guy sent me his account is high elevation genetics. I mean, the guy who bred the Freak show, Shapeshifter. His father's name is Shapeshifter. I don't know his name.
Max Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's how it's like in cannabis industry. I don't even know their names, but I've had those seeds since 2021. And I've been working, and I've crossed it to double the lie, and then I back crossed it to double the lie. So far, what I've been able to achieve is I have consistently achieved that color trait on that plant, and now I'm selecting for the Freak type leaf. So now that the color trait is sorted out, I'm just looking for these full Freak type leaves, where you have these pinnate type leaves, and then I'm just going to start inbreeding from that point. I actually have a few phenos down. I already have tested them, but I haven't started showing them because I really do want to do this work properly, and then I just want to like show this at once. If it works, it'll be amazing.
It does take you down a rabbit hole, though, doesn't it? Because it's one of those things where you're like, you see it on the first generation here and there, and you'll see some definite Freak characteristics. I got 1% pinnate leaves out of
which is a segment. Next week, Dunn will be dropping his Freak Show release on Seeds Here Now.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have those because Dunn has also worked with the Freak Show, and that's why he has personal experience with
it's fun. It's from a breeder's. Like I was telling people at the Dude Grows Cup, I was like, 'cause some people came and they were like, they didn't get it, you know what I mean? And I was just like, if you're a breeder, this should make you really excited. You should be like, or if you're into plants at all, this should make you just be like, fuck me, I wish we had this 20 years ago. Like it automatically made me interested, So I'm glad you're also working with it, and it's really exciting. It's fun, right?
So,
it's one of those things. It's one of those plants where it's like every time you go into the garden, something unique pops out, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh wow, look at this one, like especially when they get those not pinnate types, but you get the V1 types with the more like skeletal looking plants sometimes, and they'll look very bizarre. But then when they flower, I like the flower too, and I think of the terps. How is your terp? What are your terps? Are you sort of recognizing?
So that's another thing I really like about Berry Freak. And the terps on these plants are insane. They're so loud, and it's so fruity and like
more in the fruity.
Some of them are like almost like a candy.
Yeah, it's like sweet.
And they translate so well when you smoke it, because some of these strains, they have beautiful profiles, but when you smoke them, you can't really, taste a lot of it. I don't know what happens. But this Freak Show for me was like one of the best things I liked about that plant, apart from it being a Freak Show, was how well it smokes. Yeah. See, there is certainly a problem right now when you see a lot of these like freak kind of, not Freak Show, but you see these mutant plants. Mm-hmm. Most of the mutant plants which are being bred, they're not suitable for like commercial production. but it's like a novelty plant sort of. But
Yeah.
Freak Show is like just best of both worlds. You get the novelty and you get commercial, viability with it, and I don't think it gets better than that. And if someone breeds with it, makes something interesting like you did, I think it's just something that is worth looking into. I mean, absolutely, I would like to get hold of a few packs myself.
Yeah, and it's fun because it's what I was telling people too in the beginning. When you're, if you take plants like just kind of like how we were talking about at the beginning of the show, when you get plants that are literally kissing cousins or they're less interrelated, it's not very exciting. Like when you do the cross, you make them, and you're like, oh, they look kind of like the one that, like, oh, I guess I'm a really good breeder because all my plants look the same. And it's like that is not really the more like it's much more interesting when you take two extremes, which was back in the day much easier, and you took like and create that F1. All of a sudden, you have this like, way more interesting plants to play with, and a good spectrum. You know what I mean? Whereas what you're getting now is it's already bottlenecked to begin with. You take two bottlenecked strains, put them together, and you end up with a whole bunch of the, runts-looking plants or the same-looking plants, and it's like, okay, yeah, great. We've just created more low-yielding, boring, one-dimensional plants instead of.
It's not really even about like bottlenecking, to be very honest. It's bottlenecking the wrong traits. I mean, and it's not even like bottlenecking the wrong traits, but leaving out the good ones. So, when you look at like the American repertoire of like hybrid varieties, it's amazing, everywhere in the world, wherever right now there's a legal industry, it's because those people have access to those genetics. If we remove all these American and even European bred genetics, there isn't much to the legal industries out there. Certainly they won't have anything to sell. So it's not all bad. I mean, it's amazing stuff. It's just that it cannot be only that. That's the problem. When we start to think, oh, this is it, this is the best, and everything else is just garbage and it doesn't matter, that's when we tend to start to go wrong. And the bottling neck kind of like makes sense to you because you are in the commercialized sphere where you want to make sure people only get a certain expression, because anything out of that except for that expression is not really commercially desirable. So you can really see why people do certain things in a certain way. I mean, it's not all the fault on the breeders also. I mean, you have to understand the market incentivizes a certain type of behavior, a certain type of, way of doing things. And once people understand that, people just do that. It's really market like forcing people to do a certain thing. If tomorrow the entire market, stops smoking or the flavor of the week, then people will be forced to go back to do something different. But if the consumer keeps asking for the flavor of the week, I mean, that's exactly what they're going to get. So it's not all bad, because you got to cater to these people who want consistently one thing. But at the same time, as a breeders and preservationists, we have to understand that there are other things and they have values and they need preservation. And every now and then we need to take these well-established commercial varieties and just loosen them up by outcrossing them.
Just like shuck the fuck out of them.
Well, it's also like I think finally now people are appreciating those unique characteristics because people aren't so stressed out about having like plants around like it used to be, because before it was like you can't just keep plants around just because. It's like you pretty much got to keep things moving. And now people understand like, hey, it might not yield a lot, but it makes amazing concentrates, or and those plants will get sort of propagated properly, whereas before it was a lot to do with yield. Like there was a moment in time where yield dictated everything, you know what I mean? And so many things got lost because people were like, if they're growing and they're getting 3,000 a pound and they're growing 20 pounds, they're not going to come in with some low yielding plant. And so only when things like like Gorilla Glue or something like that could deliver both kind of on all the fronts. But for a while there was just a lot of stuff being grown for yield, and that kind of like fucked the whole market up.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've talked about that in the past, that when you have other people other than the breeder determining what they should be putting on the shelf, it leads to loss. Now we don't have that. All the landrace.
Now, speaking of loss, like these are limited runs. The packs I have right now, right? Like once for example, like once a valley's eradicated or like a road has been widened, like that gene pool that was growing in that valley or that where that road was could be gone forever. Like, and so it's important that people do pick these up because I don't get these every day. I don't know that a restock, if there would be a restock available, so they are limited run pack. I'm not just saying that. Obviously, it takes. So allegedly, one time, I was looking for a package that was sent to me, and people send me things, and somebody sent me some T-shirts, allegedly, maybe once, and I didn't know that it was expecting any T-shirts, and they had some like iron-on patches, I thought, with them. And I was like, man, somebody sent me some T-shirts with some iron-on patches. What the hell? And my guys were I was going to give them to the guys, so I handed them out to my employees. Mm-hmm. And arranging, he said, no, I've sent you your package. It's been delivered. I said, no, we didn't get anything. He said, it's been delivered. It's not anything. The iron-on patches were the stickers for the packages. The gear, allegedly, was in the hem of the shirt.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like I was looking for things. And before I'd gotten receipts and weird packages, like Snow High sent them to me in like the cardboard boxes. But like these were so well done that I was giving them to my employees. And I was like, oh,
And
okay,
goes back.
Yeah,
Please bring those back right now.
Why somebody send me some white shirts? Like why?
You're like,
So it's a job for me to find ways to fund him, and because of the area of the world, and it's a job for him to send me gear. He mentioned earlier, I think he missed it done. He would like to get a hold of some of your packs, and so I was going to send him some, but I don't know how that we'd have to. It sounds like some more stealth shipping. Allegedly.
Send them the shirts back. Say I'm returning these to you because they
Return to
sucked.
sender. Yeah,
And
there you go.
return to sender.
Yeah,
And
fucking great, dude. You
this
win.
is they wear the wrong color.
Yeah,
Or
wrong
actually,
size.
Wrong size. Sorry.
Yeah.
And yes, there we go. Thank you very much.
All right, there you go, Dave.
That's great. Thank you, Dave.
Right now, there it's problem solved.
we'll
That's
send
what I
Dave.
do.
We'll send Dave. He's really good at that.
That's-
Oh, I'd be even worse than James in fucking India. You kidding me? I'd be complaining.
He won't
oh
stand
my
out at
God.
all. Nobody. Oh my God, complaining. Can you imagine?
Does it
I
get-
feel so
oh, it's
bad.
so hot. Where's the air
Oh,
conditioning?
the food. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Can't do
If
it.
I
You gotta
come
eat the
soon,
food.
I'll bring them to you.
Oh,
yeah,
you take the
'cause I'm on a
shirts.
traveling-
You take the shirts.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. So, 6 rapid fire questions here. Maybe 5 rapid fire questions.
my
I
goodness.
got some written down here.
Mark is
What was
going
your
to kill
classic
you.
strain of all time?
I'm sorry, Hindu Kush.
Yeah.
Number 2,
And-
go.
Which terpene aroma you can't resist?
It's like, should I say like the name of the terpene or just the flavor?
Both, please. Both will be required answered.
Okay,
That
so
counts as 2 questions.
yeah, that'll be this beta carotene, which is like a spicy kind of,
Okay,
and
pepper.
this like woody sort of it gives that kind of taste, and you get that in Malana a lot when you smoke Malana Cheras from Malana Valley. And if it's cured, you get that woody, spicy kind of taste to it. It's like really, really nice.
Strain you had and lost that you missed today. You still miss.
I can't think of any actually. If I had them, I still have them.
Interesting. Very good.
Damn.
Hash rosin or flower? Which do you go for first?
I'm a hash guy, so I prefer like hash rosin, but I don't smoke a lot of hash rosin. I prefer to smoke like cheras kind of, something like between 160 and 73 kind of.
Most breathtaking place you've ever collected seeds?
Lulab Valley, Kashmir, absolutely without any doubt.
Really? Excellent. Well, buddy, that's what I got for
Damn.
you. I think people know about it. I mean, you could, of course, talk about your upcoming.
Oh, what about? I
library.
wanted to ask you about the beach project.
Oh, the beach project, right? I mean, I want to talk about it. So what we're doing here is,
I thought it was
all
the
this
beef
year
project.
working.
Beef?
know,
You
all
thought it
this
was beef?
working
It's
like-
not beef. It was beach.
I know.
No beef.
Spell it.
And we've understood that,
BJ.
people certain times get confused. Like you were asking me a question, like if there's someone for the first time, like which one he should get, right? It's really confusing where to start from. There's so many. So what we're doing is we're easing this out. We're making sort of like a jump start kit for people who want to get into landrace. And this box is literally going to have these 8 different varieties from 8 different parts of like Central and Southeast Asia. You'll have long flowering varieties, you'll have short flowering varieties, you'll have some Hindu Kush, classic like Hindu Kush Andhra Bilis that I've personally inbred for 5 generations. And you're going to have Swabi, which is, again, another preservation of mine. So we're going to have this box. I mean, there's just 8 varieties, and I'm going to let people choose a book of their choice. Plus, the first 250 people who get that box will get a free lifetime membership to Nanda Devi Cannabis Library, which will be opening here in Chiang Mai, Thailand by November.
Answer both questions. in one
If
answer. That's
anything
awesome.
deserved a nugget drop, that was it right there, Mark. For no nugget. There we go.
Yeah,
And it's really going to be affordable. I mean, it's going to be like really cheap, and going to make sure. I mean, cheap in the context of when you look at like what all is being offered. So it's going to be really affordable for people, and we actually want people to get it. And when you look at the package, you can just really see. I mean, we've already put like stuff which is like more than like $1,000 in there, but we just want people to have it for like a fraction of its cost, so they can get into it. And here's the best part about this box. If you have that box and the cannabis in the entire world gets wiped out, just using that box, you can recreate most of the strains.
Ah, that's your doomsday box.
Yeah.
Keep it in your
Stuck
doomsday.
in
That is
an
the
island,
kind of
take the
box
box.
you're going to hand it down to your kids. I mean, that's the kind of box, really. I mean,
And
it brings together 5 people's work, which is also very important.
Have we posted on the site
Who's
how
that?
to
Who's
get
that?
it?
I saw Bodhi was in there, right?
Oh no,
no.
not Bodhi, but
Different Bodhi. Different.
it's
Different.
no, it's Silk Road to Salvation, which is like the collective where we do the breeding.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Landrace Mafia. They're like my really good friends. And then there's the Stongling Song Project, the person behind like Full Power Selection who does a lot of work. Then Full Power Selection themselves, and the Pakistan Landrace Exchange, who's a really good friend of mine who does most of the work on the other side of the border.
No fighting between the Indian Landrace Exchange and the Pakistani Landrace Exchange, right?
No, absolutely.
There's no animosity there.
Poor form, Adam. Poor form.
Come on,
friends.
you
They're friends.
gotta throw one of those in there. You gotta throw one packy joke in there. Come on now.
So you're gonna have all these people contributing into this one thing, and you can, as a starter, as a beginner into like Landrace field, you can just get this box. You get exposure to everything at once at a very nominal price, and you're getting work from like these 5 different people who I believe for me are like the best of the best in landrace when it comes to preservation or seed distribution or even like breeding with land races. So obviously, I mean, I think this is gonna be a special one for sure.
Right. And what's the library about?
Oh, the library is the physical location is gonna be here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. We had one in the Himalayas, but that was just way out there. Nobody would want to come. It was almost you had to risk your life to make it out there. So we felt like
We're sending Dave.
This is not how it should be. It should be more accessible
Right.
because that's the point of making the library. So we're bringing it here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And guys, even if they completely recriminalize and stop everything, the library can still be there. The cannabis library can be there regardless of whether it's legal or illegal, which is the best part. And I think this just has to be a thing. I mean, why isn't already a thing? That we have so much information on cannabis, so many books by so many people. So I just want to make this library. I want to put all the books in there, and people can come and read, and they should know what we have done collectively as a community so far in like last 50, 60 years. And there's just no better way of doing it other than making a library.
I love
Awesome.
That's amazing. I don't recall us ever doing a whole show with one person with it. Maybe Duke. Maybe we did one show with him.
It's
But,
been
that was it.
great. Thank you.
Thank you so
Well, let's do it.
much.
Let's do a giveaway. Let's do a giveaway. We're
there
going to
we
give
go.
away 1 pack of these. So we'll make it a random. So the fifth person that emails me, James at C2 Now, the clue is going to be: you smell it before you see it. Rotten eggs and sulfur bombs from Kandahar. And email me. Subject line: Adam Dunn Show game.
And what do they have to email you?
The answer to what I'm
Oh,
describing.
you're going to be reading a lot of
these,
email.
Yeah, which of these strains? Well, I'm going to take
This
this
is why we don't do giveaways.
So the 5th?
Dave lost.
I'll do it.
A
So,
few-
so the,
I
the
already
fifth
know it. I
entry
know what
get.
it is.
I
already
think I do too.
You
I
can't
know
win.
what
Of course,
it
yeah.
is.
Rotten eggs and
Can I
sulfur
win? Can I
bombs.
win? Can I win?
You can get on your email. Phone.
Well, then let's wait right now. Let's see. Check your email in 45 seconds.
I don't have 5 people yet, but yeah.
Let's go.
So we'll do that. It gives away a free pack. It's a great value. And then will I be getting some? of that
And you'll
beach
win
project?
that pack, obviously.
Can we
that-
share
Backpack,
your
yeah.
email in chat? Did you already put it in chat?
Oh,
No, I'll do that real quick.
Good idea.
Thank you,
Wow, look
James.
at you all.
It's
organized.
really
Hey,
easy.
I
James
want to do
at
more
CGNL.
giveaways, guys.
oh,
be on
It's
top.
giveaway
You
show.
can answer email.
Mark
do
just
shipping.
puckered.
And with James's
oh.
help, James is wonderful. So
You mean
we
you'll,
can do
you'll,
this.
You'll do the who wins,
Well, I
and
appreciate it.
you'll
We
tell
didn't really
James how
talk
to do
about that
everything
certain
else.
strain a lot, so I want people to go look for it.
What is your email address, James?
It's in there.
James at seedsherenow.com, and I just put that in the chat.
There you go. Well, thanks for coming through. That was awesome. I know it's early. Now you got a fresh start of the day.
Yeah.
It's only, 8 o'clock in the morning now? So
Just smoke a bowl, go back to
8:30.
bed, I think.
Hopefully, the way the laws have been waffling, it'll be legal now, even though it was illegal last night. They'll have flip-flopped again and changed it.
It's crazy because Texas, they got vetoed.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely. It happened in
Thailand.
Texas, so it could happen in Thailand. You know, come on. If it happened in Texas, it could happen in Thailand. Come on.
Somebody veto that stuff. Quick.
Yep.
So weird other side question. No, Mark will kill me. But next time, let's talk about maybe some Thailand landrace strains. I mean, I'm sure there are some. I know that when I had a female guest was on the Dunn show, and we asked her about land races, and she didn't really have a bunch that she could name off. And I know that you probably have a few that you looked
Well,
into.
I can combine all of our things next week, and I'll get I will get our Thai freak show grower out there on the show, and then he can talk about landrace and freak shows.
Freaky Thai grower.
Exactly,
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
for sure.
And I may have some freak show clones on the website shortly. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, next week we'll be having James Bean's second annual Freak Off. So everybody show up for that. We'll be going over Dunn's new the new Sage Master.
Hold on.
Select
Our
drops.
legal team has
Thai
said.
seeds. I had to look it up.
Our
sorry.
legal team has said, I must reply when you say that. This has nothing to do with anything else related to freak in the legal community occurring in New York right now. The Adam Dunn Show is not responsible, nor do we accept anything that comes out of James Bean's mouth.
This is a different Freak Off. These are everything with the
That's,
Q.
that's Canada. He's got his own freak shows. Mine's going on there too. So perfect.
Wow.
Very cool.
Perfect.
Perfect, James. Another home run, man. And just so you know, that Mark designed that blue logo there, and I told him to change it to Designed by MTI. And
It
then
had
he
a typo on it that I didn't realize, so so that's why, Dave. Thank you for bringing attention to it.
Oh, it doesn't
Thanks.
matter.
Great.
No one.
Great job, Dave.
We appreciate you.
I didn't make the typo. You could have fixed it though. Nobody cares. It was
We could
funny.
have
It
just
was
not said anything about it, and it would have been.
I
just
didn't
fine, too.
know. I wanted you
It
to
would've
give
been-
you
Hey,
give
well,
me
exactly,
credit.
Dave.
I
That's
still know
why-
what you're
Being
talking
great today. We appreciate you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyways, Irrazin, you still on? You haven't hung up on us, have you? Is there anything you want to, anything I didn't grill you about, or anything you want to let the people know, or let the audience know about you, that I haven't asked you already?
Not that I can think of, and I'm sure we can like get on a show again sometime and maybe like talk about other things. There's so much to talk about, really.
Especially at
you.
like maybe harvest time. Would that be? You'd probably be busy about that. But that'd be a cool time.
That would be great, and we have like a few more things cooking up on the back burner. So I mean, would really love to talk about them too, like in a separate show, maybe a few weeks
Oh,
apart.
please.
That those things are a bit more ready.
Let's just have the whole
No.
show come to Thailand, and that's what we'll do.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. You should come here. There are so many
Mark will
people. There are
love
so
it.
many talented growers here, and like people you should be interviewing. I think.
Let us
I mean,
know.
I know a few. I mean, if you want to like talk to some of these
Allegedly.
people.
Let us know when it
This is
switches
great.
back to recreational. We'll be out there.
Oh, no!
I wanna
You can
come
just get a
anyway.
card.
This
Dude. It's
man.
not that hard actually. You can come here. You can make a card for a year, and you can just smoke. It's trust me, it's not a problem.
Yeah,
But,
I don't think we would have an issue.
When you have
letting
invested
them-
like a lot of money into a business, and even the slightest tweak is there in the policy, it makes you uneasy. So it's understandable that people are a bit uneasy, but I think it's going to be all right in the longer run.
I trust that too.
Tourism. I want to turn down tourism.
I have to think positive.
Always.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
For
Excellent.
Sure.
Well, that's all I got, guys.
Thanks for coming in through. It was awesome.
Did you eat
And,
barbecue,
guys.
James? Did you eat barbecue, Irrazin?
Barbecue?
I'm sorry.
What are you trying to do?
I was asking our guest if he ate barbecue, and it came out as one word.
Okay.
barbecue.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
we're going to do a barbecue ad right now, and it's really good barbecue.
Oh, really?
This is a weak transition.
Yeah, he's the worst
I'm
at transition.
trying.
He's
Yeah.
trying so
We'll see you
hard.
later.
really the worst.
Thank you so
Mark
much.
wants to
coming
leave.
on.
It was a
Physically
pain to
the
get up so early.
worst ever.
Thank you, Irrazin.
We're gonna do
Thank you.
ads, but you're welcome to stay around if you want to. But if you gotta go,
I'm sure he's
then
got
I'm
a
sure
whole
you gotta-
life. He's
I'm
got like
checking out.
He's been up since 9
It's
o'clock.
like 8:30. I
Thank
think I'll
both
go
of you.
start,
Okay.
breakfast
top of the morning
proceedings
to you.
and
Top
get
of the morning
started.
to you, Irrazin. Have a good day, man, for sure. Thank you.
You guys too. Have a good
We'll
day.
catch y'all
Good night.
later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Good day.
guys.
Now we can transition. Go.
So High Cafe.
Yeah.
Viper
Wow.
Pit Barbecue.
4200 West Alameda.
Jeez.
4300 West Alameda.
Man.
So
But
good.
Thank
not
God
only is
James
there
came through.
is there barbecue, but this Sunday
Whoa, Sunday.
Come see us at Bar Terp
is
Town.
Bar Terp Town, which
Birthday
we should have
edition.
said during the show, but
And
we
it's-
didn't.
This is the show. We're on the show.
I'm
you
bummed.
know, earlier.
I have
Are
a bunch
you-
of records to play. I can't make it, man. I'm
Can't
going
make it
to-
because Metallica,
I'm
because
going to
fucking
Metallica, bro.
Metallica.
And
Oh, my
Panturfa.
What is it?
friends are going to the
50%
Metallica.
chance they're old and they'll cancel the show because
Yeah.
you're too old.
No. That's why
50%
they have
chance.
4
Oh,
bands
bro,
opening
I
up.
got my back
It's
last night.
Pantera, Def Leppard. Who
Why would
else?
the fucking Def Leppard?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, I was like, I
First
did
weird.
not hear
I'm,
that.
I'm
That's
reaching.
terrible.
I'm reaching.
It's
Yeah.
Suicidal Tendencies.
There we go.
Oh,
Pantera,
yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
Metallica.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
And who's really in the small print on the bottom that's also
Suicidal
playing?
Tendencies.
Okay.
They're the
Anyone
small
below
But you
suicidal
gotta say it like
tendencies?
Dave. You gotta go.
I don't think so. I think there's only 3 bands.
Yeah, that's one big word.
Yeah, I think there's only 3 bands.
So
Dave.
I had a friend show up that I've known since college, early.
Yeah.
He was the older brother of my freshman roommate, and he just ate at Sohi and Viper Pit Barbecue.
Oh yeah. Gave
He had
ETA. He gave you the.
Did you see what he did to the wings?
You know what?
What
No,
do you
I'm just
do?
asking. Did you see what he did to the wings? They came out as these tiny little sticks. He ate the ends, the knuckles, everything.
Moose knuckles.
Dude, he cleaned it like a fucking a tank full of piranha. It would have left just the bones. There was
Wow.
nothing left. Then I mentioned burnt
Piranha. He's
ends.
a one-man piranha.
You should, dude. Let's just say yeah.
Anyway,
Viper Pit Barbecue, 4300 West Alameda. Come
So
by
good.
every day. Large orders. Call ahead. Mac and cheese. Tacos
I was
soon.
going to say, shaking it
oh
up
my
soon.
God, I can't
If
wait.
it's smoking,
Tacos al
there's
pastor.
You
food.
know I'm ecstatic
That's
about
right.
all
Oh,
this.
shit.
You don't even know what that
Come
means.
for the beans.
I
I
don't
just-
either. It's fine.
What's your name? What's your name? What is it, Vinny? Mark
We're gonna have-
Perez?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Can anyone tell? You're sitting in front of a computer, and you're not even going to Google.
It's like I saw a sign. I saw this thing in Elbert. It was a taco Segura, and I wanted to take a photo and send it to Tom Segura.
Tom
Like,
Segura.
be like, look, man, this is your
Yeah, you
calling
got to
right
stop
here.
by.
Taco
Stop
Segura.
at Adam's house and get stoned.
Exactly. Have you watched that? Did you watch his thing?
I don't watch anything anymore.
Oh, you haven't
I
seen his
don't. I
special.
don't like TV.
no, but
I
we're
don't
going to
like
go to
art.
the In-N-Out Burger, and we're going to hang out. Maybe go to the
I
museum.
especially hate comedy.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't laugh
Comedy?
anymore?
Absolutely hate
Hate
it.
comedy?
No
even
joy
like
in
it
your
at all.
No.
No, I don't even.
Are
watch
you
it.
saying you
over
don't
it?
want to
I'm
laugh?
over it.
You're
I'm over
over
it.
it?
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm-
What?
I moved on.
Laughing
Shut
is,
the hell up. I
no more
moved
laughter
on
in your
from
life.
joy.
No more laughter. in your
laughing
life?
is for clones.
Yeah.
There's
no.
no more laughter in your life. That's funny. Come on.
Live,
Does everybody
hey,
remember
Mark,
laughter?
live, laugh, love.
I know.
No,
Yeah.
you did not.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop and smell the roses.
Wait,
or
Adam,
some
did you
shit.
just hit me right
That's
there?
we're on the
I'd
first
rather
I'm
stop
gonna get
act.
him. I'm
smell-
gonna get him the
I
little.
saw a
wooden-
rainbow.
I'm getting him a little wooden fucking hanger on the wall. It's gonna say
Dude,
"Live,
I-
Laugh, Love."
I
I'm
saw
gonna say,
a
"Look at that every
rainbow.
day, Mark." Mark, before you come to the show, could you look at that thing I gave you? Put it on the wall.
What rainbow thing?
No, I'm gonna
From
give
his
you.
head
I'm
to
gonna
your
give
head.
you a little wooden "Live, Laugh, Love" thing to put on
Yeah.
your wall with a
I
rope.
want one.
It's gonna have a rope top on it.
Yeah.
Do you
that's great.
hear this, man?
You have to order it on Etsy though. If it's not from
No
Etsy,
way.
I don't want it.
Yeah, and it'll be blue and white. It's gonna be blue and white.
Oh
It's gonna be awesome, dude.
Adam's gonna stay up
Sit
and make
still,
it all
Mark.
night.
Anyway, all right, back to Sohi.
Okay, so high. Come
This
on down.
Sunday,
You know what?
4:20,
It makes a great place
9
to
o'clock.
pregame for a Metallica
sure
concert.
does.
You
Actually, it
can
could
come
be.
here,
You
and
could
then
almost-
you could get Uber from here, dude. It works all good.
Where is the show
Yeah.
at?
Mile High Stadium.
Stadium. You can just leave your car here.
I don't think it's you can't
Still
Google
tickets,
Mile
come on.
High. Maybe you can.
All right.
Are they?
For Metallica, there's still
chat-
tickets?
Chat says
Nobody wants
Mark
this.
hates everything should be a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh. Mark doesn't
going on?
really
You got
hate
somebody's
some
everything.
amateur
video.
hour
I
going
want
on
more,
over here?
so we need to finish.
Wait,
Yeah, your
Go to-
AOL
You know
account
to
is
the-
ringing.
you can mute that stuff. You know.
I know. Well, anyways, okay. So Sohi Cafe, come on down. Ozo Coffee.
Oh my gosh, they're at Widespread Panic tonight at Red Rocks. Go to
Look
ozocoffee.com.
at us just name dropping bands every 5 seconds.
ozocoffee.com. Done deal 2025 at checkout. Just remember, they're strain hunters. They travel around the world. Look
Oh.
at this one from Rwanda. What is Mushani?
Moshani.
I don't know. Mark's going to move it to the next one so that I could say one other strain or something like that, or just
Strand.
strain. Ethiopia, Guatemala. You want to
RD.
just do what Rosin Dogs does and get the subscription. But
Yeah, then you get a surprise, and you're like, "Oh my
Yep.
god, this is what we're doing."
Yeah.
just enter Done Deal
It's always good.
2025. 20% off.
Always good.
Buildasoil.com.
Oh, someone's been.
Oh,
look
it's
at
Hook.
top front
Oh,
page. He's a front
fuck
page guy
yeah.
these days. Look at that.
I love it.
King of the Wooks.
You know,
is-
what's the old way that they talked about a newspaper, how it was right, like
Oh yeah, he's.
headline right below or something like that's like premium fucking
Yeah, that's
spot right
placement.
there.
You couldn't pay.
Right? Look at how it just
Look at it.
Oh.
Look at it. Look at
Made
it.
in
great.
America.
America.
Right here in Colorado.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Du-du-du-du-du-du-du. Giving my plants some extract. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Right? That's it.
Gonna save the motherfucking day, yeah.
I just
Alright.
glurgled in
You
a
two
bunch.
are great.
I did a full glurgle of watermelon fucking extract today on my flowering plants. I was just like, yeah, you're getting it all. Just blah, blah, blah.
They
I never
love it.
never measure it.
This is
never.
why
There's no
Adam's-
measuring
Never
required. You
go
just
for a
Adam's
glurgle.
giving away his secret.
glurgle it
It's
in.
a glurgle.
Oh, yeah.
That's the secret.
It's straight glurgle.
Make a glurgle happen.
Oh, no, you have to give a full glurgle. No, it was like a multi-glurgle. It was like a glug, 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 glug,
Glurgling?
glug, glug, glug. So they're going to be so
Triple
happy.
glurgle.
Yeah.
They're going to be so happy. Now, I've already figured out it is 30 mil per. If I do a little glurg, it's like a 30. But if I do a
little
big
glurg.
glurg, it's like 100. So I
We're
was
going to go to Google
I
and
was
you're going to
doing
be
big
able to
glurgs.
translate from ounce to glurgle.
3 glurgs.
3
Big
glurgs.
Glurg.
Yeah. What up,
Sounds
big
like a
glurg?
fucking rapper, dude.
Oh, big glurg, motherfucker. Yep, you know.
That's how I roll it.
Anyway,
Buildasoil.com.
build a soil. It's the shit.
855-810-soil. Yo, tip.
Did they crush it? Did they crush it?
I haven't seen it yet.
James
I've
Loud
been
viewers,
a little
use
bit of-
code James30.
Oh, and that's
what? You're
yes.
stealing our codes now?
Holy
Wait a minute,
shit.
what's going on over here?
No, look, we love it. However you get it out
I'm
there.
messing
Everyone
with you,
needs a
dude.
yo tip.
I'm kidding.
Oh, James.
Just
Loud
enter the
viewers.
James Loud code. It's no. Ours is 30% too.
We
He did
always-
send us.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
ours is 30%.
We have a
too.
discount code.
We do.
Yeah, we
Done deal?
Done
Better
deal
be.
is 30% now.
Better be done deal.
Yeah. So
Hell yeah.
it is a better way to smoke. We've known them since the beginning, and I got to tell you, the product is amazing. All the new products they're coming out with, I don't know if you saw, we used a ring and a Yo Tip XL tonight, and I got to say, that's the best. That's like my preferred. So you have to
Yeah,
be
it's
around
definitely the
someone
one.
with lots of weed.
Yeah.
Have an Adam next to you all
Hell
the
yeah,
time.
O-ring.
To smoke.
O-ring,
And a
motherfucker.
ring.
I bring them to
Challenger
all
mode.
the shows
Challenger.
with me. People are constantly
you
passing
gotta.
me joints, and I'm like, nope, I need my tip.
Stop by the studio. We have Yo Tips here. We'd love to give you a sample. You go to 4300 West Alameda. We'll give you some Yo Tips, but you can find them at Yo Products LLC on Instagram. I believe they might just be changing their Instagram real soon. I'm sure you might get a notice about that. But
Excellent.
YoTip.com. Keep you safe.
Look at everyone with their fresh websites. Huh?
Well, look what's
Everyone's
going
like-
on. It's a concert season. We just said you're going to Metallica. Everyone else is going to Widespread Panic.
I ain't smoking with no one.
How many
If you
joints?
mixed up those two concerts, you have a good.
you just
create a whole.
so
new-
how to
that-
sell the front.
be a
Thank
new-
you, Mark.
You're not
You're
lying
so-
either.
You just,
He didn't even let me pass him back his joint.
well,
tonight.
he
was
should be
like, "Go ahead,
using a
finish
Yo
that."
Tip to make his joint hit better.
Well, think about all. If you mix those crowds together, you'd come up with something new.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, dude.
Widespread.
A bunch of
Definitely.
new stuff.
Widespread is widespread, and then that's
They
it's in the name.
widespread.
Widespread Metallica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Widespread Metallica. That's a good cover band. That'd be
Oh
awesome.
no, that's not. That's something you get from not
It's
using a
Metallica
yo-tip.
tunes done like in jam band form.
You don't want to catch widespread Metallica.
No.
That shit, that doesn't go away
I'll
with
stay
just a
home.
shot of penicillin. Okay.
All right,
You do
yo-tip.
not want to catch that. So use a yo-tip.
Yotip.com.
Holoself.
Holoself.
Holoshealth.org. Get some MJ card. You want to become a
Get
medical
some
patient.
MJ card.
Sorry. You want to be a medical patient or you want a microdose therapy, you go to holoshealth.org. You enter Dunn Deal it. Tell them you heard about us. 20% off. The absolute best dab rig on the market today when you want to take big fat dabs with your friends. You go to dabx.com. You enter Dunn Deal at checkout. You get 20% off everything in your cart. You've got to check out the Go. It's the lowest price it's ever been. I believe with the Dunn Deal code, it's $159 shipped to your house with a cleaning kit. Check it out. They have a new website too. So dabx.com.
Everybody's upgraded.
Dunn Deal at
It's
checkout.
the upgrade my website week.
I hope that means we'll see
Yes.
new
Except
things
for the
from
adventure.
Dabx.
Might want to have tacos.
Tacos.
Tacos. Dabx.com.
Oh, you got to do the whole thing.
14erboulder.com.
So you go to 14erboulder.com. You click that little
Yes,
shop
You have to go out
now.
and do the little J-Lo thing. What the hell? J-Lo tacos.
Click the little shop now button.
Not AI for sure. That for sure. None of these.
If you enter Dunn Deal
Tell these
at
are
your
not
checkout,
AI.
you'll get 20% off everything in your cart. You gotta try
Oh, when are
those
you getting us
vapes.
more of those? Come on now.
I ask every time if you want them. You guys
I want
always
'em.
say.
I don't want them.
I do.
Actually, I missed
I
one
do.
week still. So
I mean,
there's
I like
1
'em.
week I still have to go back.
Go
for.
back and get one of those.
I will.
Yeah, go back and get one of those.
Yeah.
Get those.
Best first place flower.
Go check
Best
them
bud
out.
tenders.
14er.
Check them out. 14erboulder.com.
Solid weed, man.
Solid man.
Grove bag.
Grovebags.com. You have to give them a call, okay? Don't go to a website and try to order something with a Dunn Deal code. What you need to do is tell them you heard about it on the show. It is the plastic polymer bag that acts better than glass. When it locks, you know it's locked. And I just pulled out some of the weed from Kaya that was in one of their bags, and it was still, I don't want to say it, use the drop. It was still moist. Moist.
Moist.
Go to
Did you
grovebags.com.
see that company that got Mike Tyson to
Moist.
promote their moist product?
No way.
I swear to God, it's like,
Oh, two had it too.
huh? I know.
HortitechDirect.com.
And they got Mike Tyson to say it over and over and over and over and over again during the ad. I was just like,
That's
this is
low-hanging
hilarious.
fruit,
This is
man.
hilarious.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know. It's like we're gonna get Mike Tyson. to
I
promote our
prefer
product.
heavy-duty rolling benches.
Oh yeah,
And you
those
got to go to HortitechDirect.com.
if you want that.
You tell me you heard about it on the Adam Dunn Show. You're going to get 5% off a greenhouse. That's an amazing discount. They have a greenhouse for every climate, every region that you can possibly grow in. You just give them a call and talk to them. Tell them you heard about it on the show, and they're going to take real good care of you. And I'm sure they'll bring it up, but we increased it without even talking to them. It's a free 10-pack of Adam Dunn Show brushes with every greenhouse purchased.
All right.
Yeah.
Terpwipes.com
Just like that.
Dunn Deal.
Oh shit.
This is such a must-have. I mean, you got I
What's that little green thing going on around, popping around on the screen?
picture of me or something stupid.
Orbs.
Oh, that's
Is that orbs?
Orbs.
Aliens? Aliens are.
I
inside.
see it now.
I know what's going on. Mark, what are you doing?
I have an image. Okay, you want me to go into it?
No,
Don't
don't worry about it. Terpwipes.com
And
slash Dunn Deal.
for some reason not pulling
Terpwipes.com
it up. So-
slash Dunn Deal.
Orbs.
Terpwipes.com.
Did you guys see the orb thing now that I
It was more of
showed
a
it to you?
pixel.
Is that a glurgle
The
or a
booga- the
blorb?
boo- the booga
A
orb.
bloop?
No, the booga orb.
A
Booga
booga
orb.
orb. Oh.
I sent that to you guys.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I
That's
did.
me.
Did I,
I don't
watch it?
I don't watch.
I didn't get it.
moving
See?
pictures.
I send all
I
things to the
watch your
group
shit.
I don't like
chat
moving
saying,
pictures.
When you
Here-
say group chat that
yeah.
So I
in
just
front
quit.
of Katie, it makes her sad. We're
You
going
know,
to have to add
I'm
you
not
to
in
the
the
group
group chat,
chat.
and I'm very
How come we don't
Mark
add
treats the
Katie?
group chat like comedy.
Can we add
Let's
her to the
fix
group
Not
that.
chat?
into
Yes.
it anymore.
Yeah, we can add her in if you want.
Add her in.
Let's add her in.
Add me, so I
Yeah,
can
that's
see
great.
all
That's
the-
Then she's
great.
gonna see all the stuff we say about her. That's
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
y'all's favorite.
We have to
Stop-
remember.
let's
We have to
stop
remember
fake
that
the
she's
phone.
in the chat now.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
in
exactly.
chat. What?
What? What?
we have it called. Don't say that.
Oh gosh.
What is it? What do we have it called?
Oh,
Right. Is that really the same one?
Numbnuts.com. THC and CBD infused nut butters delivered to your door. Not the
Say
CBD,
nut butter
just
again.
the CBD. Nut
Say-
butter.
Get that
Nut butter.
Say it like 5
Nut
times.
butter.
Yeah.
Say it like 5 times.
Nut butter, nut butter, nut butter, nut butter. Numbnuts CBD infused cinnamon almond butter,
Yes.
CBD infused peanut butter, and Pet CBD infused peanut butter.
My puppies
Delivered
love
to your
it.
door. Numbnutsco.com. Hit Find Our Nuts to get THC infused peanut
and
butter.
apparently there's some secret work going on.
Oh, good. There's secret
in
work.
The lab.
So follow them.
They're working in the lab right
You like
now,
when these
Go
nuts
to
hit your
their-
face?
making us something.
Go to their website.
Oh,
And, you know,
numbnutsco.com.
Get on their email list. That's the best way to do things now, guys. You know, because
Numbnuts.
that's the only way they know. All right. JeromeBaker.com from the Las Vegas Dream Factory.
Jerome Baker. Yes. Thanks to Jerome Baker, we got our new tents from our guys over there at 420 Promos.
Oh, that's hot, dude.
And
Or not hot, under it at least.
You're gonna miss our
the
tents on
charger?
Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
oh my
I know,
goodness.
all
But
that
anyway,
green screen I'm gonna miss.
Jerome, if you're not familiar with Jerome Baker Designs,
You live
then
under a rock.
He will be releasing a new design called the Nine-Toed. So,
oh man,
Salute to
Too
Jerry's finger.
Jerry's foot.
His Jason's toe.
Oh, I never even fucking. Oh,
What?
Vinny, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't even go there for a second.
You forgot all about that?
Wait, are you saying that Jason can play guitar with his feet?
Yeah.
Holy
Tribute
shit.
to Jerry.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Vroom, vroom.
Oh, I love this.
at that. Jesus, look at that piece.
That's
JeromeBakerGlass.com.
cool.
That's amazing.
Who made that?
I love the name of it.
That's
It's
Jerome Baker
No, I know,
Collections.
but it's not him.
I don't know who
Is
it
it
is.
Soulfire.
It
right
doesn't
there.
say,
Soulfire
bro.
Glass. Soulfire
Does it
Glass.
say?
So
Yeah, Soulfire Glass.
What?
Dave would be the worst. I could love to see Dave hold that piece.
No, why do you have to hold it?
He would be shaking.
Do you
like
go
a-
over and
He's
touch the
shaking.
Mona Lisa?
He would be shaking like.
Do
a
not
leaf.
put it on the table.
Jokes. That's cute.
Wait, but why do you have to hold something like that?
'Cause
When
have
you
to-
go to museum, you touch all the pieces?
Well, I
you
don't
gotta-
touch it.
Well, if you want to smoke out of it,
If you're
you have
gonna
to
say,
hold-
yeah.
Smoke out of that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's
Somebody did.
for.
Yeah, dude.
You're one of those guys.
Are
think you're just
you
gonna
one of
look at
those
it?
No, I'm afraid. I would have to do. I would have.
I'm
this I
not
would have to
afraid.
take
I'm for
anyway.
sure walking.
cheap.
right
You should
up.
have been at the
got
Voorhees
something
party.
for
That
you.
was
It's
It's only
crazy.
75.
I'd have to have my hands behind my back.
There was so much money at the Voorhees party during that dab session. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I
dude.
know. It was nuts.
Oh,
All
Every
the
kid had
daddy's
10,
credit cards.
10 racks in their car. In their pocket. They're like,
10 to 15 kids with at least 10 grand piece in front of their face.
Oh,
like,
great.
ready, and
It
they
was the
ran-
easiest cleanup we ever had
And they-
because
they
instead
ran
of
in.
cigarette butts and joints, it was Q-tips.
They ran
Nice,
in and
dude.
stood in front of the counter, the thing that they wanted. Like, I want this, and it was like, I'll just take this, I guess. It was like that. I was like, okay, I guess we sold out. There you go. That was easy.
Crazy.
They were lining
Shout
up
out to
at
the
10:30
kid.
in the morning.
Shout out to the kid.
The kid put that together.
JeromeBaker.com.
Reading the tea leaves.
And laughs. Do we do a
SeedsHereNow.com.
SeedsHereNow.com.
Number one
No,
cannabis
whoa.
seed bank. 4.6 stars from 2,849 plus
Those are-
verified reviews. The breeder of the month is Breeder X, 25% off. Flavor of the month is cherry, 20% off, and there's flash sale.
It's just like Mark's back.
I know.
It's like, you
Love
should have seen
it.
him last week.
It was even James.
They couldn't do it as good as you.
And check out IWantClones.com.
Nobody
wasn't here last
What
week.
the hell?
Yeah,
That's
but
fun,
no,
too.
I said, but they weren't not as good as him between the two.
Thank
of
you,
them.
James, for putting together the show today. It was
That was
very
amazing.
nice to
That
have
was amazing.
Very nice.
a very good guest the whole way through. It was
party.
With
very,
real questions.
very listenable.
real
You've-
questions.
Thank
Very
you. He
listenable,
was
but you-
here. The whole, yeah.
You were here
He
the
stayed
whole show.
present.
And if
Dave
you know,
could hardly
Become a cult member.
Dave
Get a
could
cult member.
hardly
Get a cult
sideswipe
jersey.
anything. You tried, but
What do you mean?
you know,
I recognize
Maybe if you like the
what
Lions,
was
you get
going
this
on.
one.
That was an amazing opportunity for us.
that's like the Detroit Lions version of the Adam Dunn show.
Whoa.
But you
Okay.
pick your color.
Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
They're
the best team in football.
ah.
Just kidding.
Whoa.
Wow.
Was
we-
the Cincinnati Reds
St.
right
Louis
here?
Cardinals.
I'm
Cincinnati
thinking
Reds.
Chiefs.
Yeah, Cardinals, Reds, whatever.
Oh, that's
It's
I'm
fine.
thinking-
Was this Dallas Cowboys? Ugh.
Oh,
No,
that's the
that's more
cult.
of
That's
Georgetown
Raiders.
That's
The Georgetown
Raiders.
Hoyas.
That's Raiders, bro.
That's not
Raiders
Raiders.
are
The Raiders.
black,
Raiders
right?
is the green.
Raiders is the black.
Oh wait, the gray one. The gray one is
It's the
Raiders.
There's
That's
Raiders.
Raiders.
There we go.
You guys, it's
Pirate.
Yeah, this one's pirate.
That would be
I like that one.
Arr.
That's the cult
That's my
jacket
favorite
right
That's
there.
the real deal.
That's the
Adam
real
Dunn.
deal cult
That's the
jacket.
If you
Adam
wanna
Dunn.
That's how
be
you
in the
know you're
cult-
Even the
actually a
collars
cult.
and the stripes match the flag. Look at that.
Hey,
How sick
Adam,
is that?
Yeah.
what happens
How
if they
sick is
buy
that?
one of these cult jackets?
They get a pack of seeds.
A
Yeah.
pack of seeds.
And maybe more, depending if we can.
If James Loud ever fucking
No,
comes
I'm
through.
giving those. Yeah.
Guerrero Gross says he's on week 62 of waiting for his package.
Guerrero.
For what
Where's that?
package?
He
Oh.
promised himself a
promised
welcome
himself.
basket from the ADS
I do
Oh, wow,
remember
that's good.
that.
sponsored
Hey,
baskets.
there you go.
He wants an ADS sponsored basket.
Wow.
Stop
That.
by and we'll get you meal tips.
Yeah, it's right here. Is it
Come
that
by, we'll
basket
do
I
it.
right
got
there?
some
You gotta
seeds
pick
here
it up.
now,
Pick it
guys.
up.
It's right here.
there. That's
We
waiting.
appreciate you,
waiting for you.
Guerrero.
Yeah, Guerrero.
There's
Anytime, buddy.
Come on. Through.
Come on. And
Yeah, come on through.
Pick up your
It'll be
picnic-
fine.
Picnic basket. Might be
We won't-
slightly smoked out of,
Picnic
but
if you want to
Hey,
follow
boo-boo.
the progress of Adam's
Go
Garden,
get a
you need
picnic
to join
basket.
Patreon.
Oh yeah,
Come
Patreon.
hang out with
come.
us.
Look at we're already here.
Patreon.
Everybody's here. Everybody.
Now I won't get home till midnight. This is awesome.
Oh, you're
This is
happy to
great.
hang out with us,
Oh,
liar.
so great.
Come on now.
I need to get ribs home.
I'm going to get some more barbecue myself.
Wow.
Thank you guys for joining us. We love you. Come kick it with
Come
us
on,
on
hang out on
Patreon.
Patreon and hang out for an hour or so.
Hey, and this Sunday,
Sunday.
Bar Terptown, 4300 West Alameda. You got to come down at
Second
420.
2025 edition.
There's going to be lots of
Birthday
Birthday
celebration.
celebration.
Birthday celebration. Vinyl. Mark, no
Mark.
vinyl, Mark.
No
No, we have
vinyl.
no Mark because he's going to Metallica.
I was gonna bring a box for you to sell. but-
Oh, there we go.
I'll still bring a. I'll bring. There'll be a crate of vinyl that's priced out
Yeah.
and cleaned and.
Could we
I
ask
might play it.
some member
Oh,
of the
Mike, are you
studio
coming
audience
this
who's going to sell the box? Oh, you, sir?
Oh no, he's already there.
Oh, there we go.
We know he's there.
He'll take care. Get in touch with this gentleman right over here.
Yeah, he will take
Yeah.
care
Thank
of
you.
He will take care of your
Yeah,
box.
your box.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
take care of my box.
Everybody
Fuck
jump!
yeah, he will.
He'll get your box
Look
sold.
at that fucking
man.
hair. He
He'll
will.
get that fucking
God
sold.
damn. God damn, he
And
will.
cleaned out.
He'll clean that box.
Deep clean.
Wow. All right. That's what you get on Patreon, guys. If you
Thank
come
you.
over to Patreon,
This time
it's pretty much
no time to be
that
sober.
for an hour
Time.
with a
And
little bit
some-
of other insights. Some other insights. You get the inside scoop.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
We'll see you guys. Thank you.
Dave needs help. Dave needs help. Someone help Dave. Yeah.
We still going?
No. Oh yeah. I guess I am. My
Are
mic is
you?
on. Hi. My mic is on.